Now then, welcome to another podcast. This time I'm talking to James Ashoo. This time we're talking about ChatGPT, business, work-life balance, gratitude and sport and things like that. Tennis. Jay likes to play a lot of tennis. Yeah, all sorts really. But yeah, if you're ready, let's go.
Would you consider doing these remote at all? Like trying to do it not over Zoom? I think there's better things you can probably do it on.
Yeah.
But is that, or do you like the sort of in-person vibe?
I do like the in-person vibe, but I haven't tried that.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
There's like one podcast I listen to, which is Joe Wilkinson and David Earl,
Right,
Chatterbox, and they do that over Zoom with like awful mics.
Do they? Yeah.
And it's weird because you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Like once your ear's into it, it's like you don't even care really.
I found I'm sound with them
Yeah.
until I try and play it in the car.
Yeah.
And then once you got a bit of road noise as well, then you really begin to appreciate the in-person ones where the sound quality is obviously
Bang
really
on.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like you. I could probably do a remote one if like the guests are interested or what they're talking about is interesting. But otherwise, as long as I'm not in the car, remote's fine. But I can see why you'd want to keep it in person. I think it's just a bit.
Good. I think it's just a bit more like the conversation can be a bit more in depth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but like, obviously that's going to just change over time, isn't it? And like,
Yeah, definitely.
it'll get so much better. You both have a podcast with anyone from anywhere, and it'll be just like you're in the same room.
Yeah.
But like all this stuff that like Zuckerberg was talking about with Meta,
Yeah.
like he was saying like one of the main things they're trying to improve is like that in-person kind of feel, and so you can like look at each other in VR and stuff. But
Yeah. I know. Adobe have just released that AI thing actually, haven't they? Where you just upload your file into it and it just completely I don't know how it does it, but it just makes the sound as if you're in the same room, even if the quality has not been that great.
Really?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
That sounds great.
Lad at work uses it and it is amazing.
I've been thinking about this. I was sat up there listening to some of them, and like, I was thinking, I could probably just put these into a system and it would make them sound a mint. So it is there.
Yeah, I'll remind me after. I'll send it your way because it is genuinely incredible.
Yeah, it's mental what they can do now.
Yeah.
I mean, that I don't know if you probably didn't watch it, but that Beatles documentary, that was done by the guy who did the Lord of the Rings films.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, they use this AI system. They like went to this company who makes like an AI software that splits down music into all its parts. So like they'll split it down into the guitar and the drums, and they'll actually be able to listen to them on their own.
Right.
Which is something you can do now.
Yeah.
But the stuff you get on the computer on your phone is crap, really.
Yeah.
But like he went to this company and said, your app's crap, but can you make a better one for me for this film? And they took like old Beatles recordings from the 60s that were just like shit.
It's mad,
sounded really bad, and made them sound like brand new.
It's
amazing.
It's a joke, isn't it, what they're doing now? World's moving at such a insane pace.
Yeah, man. We'll talk about ChatGPT in a bit, I think.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where should I start? Yeah, content investment writer. That's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
How do you like that?
Love
Enjoying
it. Love it, to be fair, yeah. Always used to think when people would say stuff like, oh, I love my job, isn't it? Yeah, come on, like, you're just doing it to
pay the bills.
To pay the bills. But no, been doing it for almost a year now, I guess. Yeah. So the company I work for is like an investment app. So you just buy and sell stocks and shares through it.
Right.
And it's very much my job to like produce sort of educational content on like, how someone might get started with investing.
Right.
So I guess it's probably more aimed at a beginner / intermediate when it comes to that sort of stuff. But the app makes it like very easy or very straightforward to buy and sell stocks. But yeah, I'll just write sort of whether it's like video scripts or like blog posts, or just done like a newsletter now where like every Friday, if you subscribe to it, you'll get like three companies that have moved in the stock market that week and why.
Yeah.
So it's not just saying like, oh, this happened, but it's actually explaining in quite a clear and easy to understand
in a journalistic way, like
Yeah.
why it's actually happened. Yeah.
Yeah, like why is something happened? Like
You got an example recently that's like has interested you at all? Or
yeah, I mean, the way I try and do it is, so it's 3 companies, and I try and select 2 that everyone's heard of.
yeah,
So it might be like recently it was like Tesla and like Etsy. There's like 2 examples.
yeah,
But then I'll try and find a third one which people haven't,
yeah,
because I think, oh, you learn something new.
yeah,
And I think a couple recently have been in like the healthcare industry. So I think it was like Intracellular, or I think that's how you pronounce the company name.
yeah,
And they've just passed this like phase 3 trial on a drug which like significantly helps with depression, and I think it's like schizophrenia and bipolar as well.
really,
Yeah, and the results were literally so good, the stock just went up.
yeah,
I think it was something like 24%, which
Yeah.
is mad.
yeah. That's just in a week.
Yeah, literally overnight when they published these results, everyone just like bought into the stock, and then the reason I love it is because it's a win-win-win for everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah,
If you own the stock, great, it's just gone up 24%.
yeah,
The company benefit, and they get more money to invest into curing these horrible things in life, like depression and
yeah, yeah,
everything like that. And then it's also a win for the patients, because they're getting access to better like medical
help.
treatment. Yeah, so
Yeah.
just sort of that's probably the thing I'm actually enjoying most at work at the minute is doing these sort of weekly wrap ups on like what's moving in the stock market, and trying to explain to people like why it's all happening. And actually it is really interesting.
And you're able to analyze quite a lot of like what works and what doesn't, like through your do you use like Google Analytics and stuff like that to?
Do you mean to like track what people are finding interesting?
Yeah, yeah. Or is someone else doing that for you and like letting you know?
No, yeah. So we'll use Google Analytics more for the website and blog.
Yeah.
For the newsletter itself, you almost have like these, I guess what you call it is like just software platforms which send out the newsletters, and they have their own sort of analytics inside. Yeah. So you can see like which people are opening it, like which people are clicking on what you'd call in marketing your CTA, your call to action. So ours is like, if we write about Tesla, we might say invest in Tesla or whatever. So you can see like which ones have performed quite well, and take learnings from that, and just be like, well, okay, people liked content around this. Like often if you do something around like Elon, for example, people just love it because
people just get stuck in.
Yeah, he's just a mad guy, isn't he?
Yeah. He seems to just be like endlessly fascinating to people, doesn't he? Like, and it's he just does mad stuff all the time, doesn't he? So
literally, mate, you can't keep out the news. So it's a bit of a dream for someone in my kind of job when he's up to his antics. I love it.
Yeah, it's easy to write about. Yeah,
constant content. But
so do you find it quite hard to find new stuff, or is it like? Do you find it interesting to try and find new stories? Like, find it fun?
I find it so interesting. Like, my whole life's just built around it now. So I think we've been doing this now for 6-7 weeks since we launched it, the newsletter specifically.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's been a week where I've struggled to find interesting stories. Yeah. But that's because so much just goes on in the world. Like, obviously, I know social media will get a hold of your algorithm, so it will show you stuff that you're interested in.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like there is just so much going on in that space where you're not going to struggle. And it's not like they're massively in-depth stories. We keep them fairly brief and concise. So, because there's quite a lot to take in for people, I think.
No one's got much of an attention span nowadays anyway, so
exactly.
It's like, it's important for it to be like, I was looking recently, I don't know if I mentioned this on another podcast, probably fucking did. It's like time that people spend on the website. On our website at work, they spend 2 minutes.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
ASOS is 10.
That's insane.
Average, which is mental.
That's insane. I wouldn't have thought any website in the world has that.
But it made me think like, wow, if you asked me that without me knowing, I would have thought people, like, I don't know about those numbers. Like, I would have thought people would spend more time than that. But I suppose if your website's nice and quick and easy to use, then people will just get through it quick, get what they want. They know what they're there for. But it's true though, isn't it? You don't spend long on websites, do you? Like,
no, and actually I made this point to work a few weeks ago, because we were looking at average duration time, which Google Analytics will tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking, on one hand, you probably want people to be spending a long time on there.
Yeah.
But if you're selling something at the end, maybe quite a quick journey, if you want to call it that, is actually a good thing. Because people know exactly where everything is. If I go onto Amazon to buy something, it's so quick. I'm not going to be on there for a long time.
It's true, yeah. Spend like a minute or two max, don't you? Like,
exactly. So your web guy might have great reason to turn around and say, well, actually, it's a good thing that we've lowered it.
Yeah. I think I was saying to him, like, he's talking about like getting a new theme put in on Shopify, make it better, make it look nicer, have more features. And I said, and he's just like on the same page as me, but I was like, I think the most important thing is just to keep it simple though. If it looks nice, that's great, but like, I would say simplicity is more important than it looking nice, because people want to be able to just understand it and quickly do what they need to do.
100%.
You don't want to slow people down.
Yeah, but before I joined Shares, the company I'm at now, worked at a company called the Hook Group, and that was essentially the part I was working in was called Ingenuity, and they would take sort of small to medium businesses on, or even in some case large businesses.
Yeah.
And they would basically take their website and just improve it from an e-commerce point of view.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how these people who have built up their websites, they'd come up with like fancy names for their blog or like fancy names for their collection, and Hook Group, they always just made it really simple. And it was almost so simple you'd think, we're not going to stand out. But actually, like in the world we're in where
everyone's trying to stand out.
Yeah, you see like 1,000 ads in a day or something.
Yeah.
So like, just make it simple, make it easy. Easy is the key thing.
I think when the internet came out and like computers became available, people decided to like, they went mad with their like advertising, like visuals, and like their website had like all this, like the Japanese websites are still the same.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really packed in. Like one page has so much information on it. And it's just like, I think we realised in the Western society that was just way too much. Like, and we've stripped everything back, like logos, everything's just been stripped back on it, like completely.
Our brains, they're not made for loads of information. We just want everything explained to us like we're 5. And and to be honest, that's the approach I try and take at work. Like, imagine you are explaining everything to a 5-year-old, because that's how I want people to talk to me.
You want to understand from like the base level,
of course. Especially when it's topics I don't know about.
I 100% agree.
Like, just explain it to me like I'm 5, because what you actually, when you know a little bit about a topic and then you explain it to someone, you sort of assume they know the level of knowledge you have. But actually,
most of the time they don't.
What you're saying is not always going in, and that's why I think you do have to just strip everything back, make it really simple. Definitely. I think about that a lot. I think Lex Friedman's podcast is probably my favourite podcast. Right.
And he's so good at that. Like, acting like a kid.
Yeah.
Like he'll be sat next to a scientist, across from a scientist, and they'll say something mental, and he'll just be like, what is string theory? They'll tell him, and then he's like, what do you mean? Like, what? And he'll say something specific, and he'll just point on that specific word and be like, what does that word mean? Like, and you can imagine that some people might find that annoying. Like, oh, you've got me on this podcast. Like, you should know something about what I'm talking about. But it's better to like introduce normal people, like people who've got normal jobs and stuff, to like quite out there concepts.
Yeah. Often I feel like we're all too worried about asking what's like classed as a stupid question.
Yeah.
But when like a podcast host, like Lex Friedman, for example, or whatever, like when he asks a stupid question or what would seem like a stupid question, everyone's like, actually, that's what I want to know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I think that's why in a lot of cases, like what you said, it's better to not actually do a load of research into something before sitting down and having a chat. It's better to just learn about it. And ask the silly questions, because...
Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah. Side hustles. You wanted to talk about that. What have you got to say about side hustles, Jay?
I just think they're really interesting, especially in like the modern day, where, like traditionally, I think our parents, they'd go get a job. It would be very 9 to 5. You know exactly how much you're going to earn at the end of the month. In this like digital age where we're in now, there's just so much opportunity, and I just think it's really interesting. Like take this podcast for example, and when I say side hustle, I don't even mean, doesn't even have to be something which is like you finish your job after I don't know, like 5:30 or whatever, and then you get straight on it and you're grinding it until like 10:30 to try and make money. very much like a passion project as well, something that
something that you'd like to do if you could do, like
yeah,
your job.
exactly, yeah. And I just think the way the world's gone, it's just so easy to start something nowadays, whether you want to call it a side business, side hustle, passion project, whatever.
Yeah,
I just think you get a lot of fulfillment out of being able to do something in your spare time.
Yeah,
I just think you learn so much through doing it. Like, I could ask you, like, what have you learned since doing this podcast? I bet there's so much.
Man, it's mad. It's crazy. Like, I'd say, like, if I'm just going to pick one, like, it's just listening to people.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned so much about listening to people that I'm using in my everyday life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm using it at work and I'm going, right, I would usually say something now, but maybe I should just listen.
Yeah.
And let them carry on. And I still like, so I love talking to people.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still jump in and say like, I'll do this and that. And it's like, yeah, I'd say that's the main one. Just listening. Yeah.
100% agree. And I think it's when you begin to realize how much you can actually learn from just doing something that you enjoy in your spare time, it doesn't feel like work or what you think would come to mind when you say the word side hustle or whatever. I just think it's something you really sit down and enjoy doing. Like, we're doing this on like Easter bank holiday, right? So
yeah, we must enjoy it.
Yeah, you got to think like this has to be enjoyable, and anything else which comes out of it, great. Yeah. But I just think that they're really interesting concepts, and I think it's something which more people should try and do.
Yeah. I spoke to my dad about it a while ago, and he said that like in America it's more of a normal thing, and it has been for a longer time.
Yeah.
Whereas here people would just have a job, like you say, but in America they'd have like a little bakery business on the side, or like
crazy
something that people, like you say, are passionate about, and that they'd maybe like to be their full-time job. Yeah,
and that's it. Like, it can be. I think the idea of like a side hustle for me is, and I'm sure like most people probably agree, it's the potential for it to earn good money one day without putting what you'd consider loads and loads of time into it.
Yeah.
Which I know everyone wants loads of money through doing
nothing.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so common nowadays that people are earning like 10, 12 grand a month, which always sounds mental.
Yeah.
But actually, when you see how people are doing it and stuff, and you break it down, it's really not that uncommon, I don't think. So
yeah. People have just got to be like clever about what they're doing and like pick the right things, because if you want to know that stuff, you can go out and find it, can't you? Like you say, everything's available now.
Yeah, massively.
Everything.
Literally everything is available, and
yeah.
Not only is everything available, most of it's free. Like,
yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
You can spend money on courses, and I think it's well worth doing. Like, people always say, like, invest in yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
But 100%, if you can just type something into YouTube, you can find a good tutorial on how to get started.
On anything, definitely. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing where we've come from, like as a like civilization, to get to the point where anyone can access all of the information that we've made together.
Yeah.
From anywhere.
It is. It's mind blowing. But I think the interesting thing with side hustles is, or this is the case that I've found with a lot of my mates. They're all they love the part of getting an idea. So it's like, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna. I've had this new idea, and I'm the same. Like, I'll have all these ideas, but actually the hardest part, and credit to you, because this is where you've been able to nail it, is just to sit down and consistently then do it.
Yeah.
I always think that everyone has ideas.
Yeah.
You go to the pub with someone will have the next big idea, but the hardest part is actually just saying, right, no, on Saturday morning, I'm going to do it for 2 hours. That's
also
the hard
picking
part.
the right one though as well. Like, because remember Tom Scott saying, that YouTube guy, he was saying like, he said like, I have ideas all the time for videos, but he says 90% of them I don't even consider. And it's like, you have got to get those ideas down somewhere and like refer to them a bit. But obviously, I think like you're saying, doing them is great, but like also you gotta. The thing is, I think you learn which ones to do by doing them. Yeah. Like, you learn in the future. It's like, well, I did these 10 things in the past, so now this 11th thing, I've got some experience of other things. I can try that and make it work, and I can see if it's going to work. Yeah, exactly. So you need to do stuff as well. 100%. Taking those 10 things, which 2 or 3 worked well, how can I
replicate it
Yeah.
without being too samey and just keep going. Clearly that's what people want. But it's something I'm trying to always do better at work, actually, is not always be the person that has an idea, or if you do have an idea, don't just be like, oh, we should do this. It's actually create almost like a plan, and right, this is how I've had this idea and this is how I'm actually going to go do it.
Yeah, it's not just an idea. That's it. There you go, guys.
Exactly, because I think after a while, that person can become almost quite annoying.
Yeah,
just constantly has ideas, but it's like, an idea is as good as when it's been implemented. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I come from a family where, well, my dad is a lot like that. Throws out ideas all the time, never does any of them. and I've got a little bit of that, definitely. I just get excited by ideas. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the same. I'm totally the same. And,
Yeah.
and it's why, even though I love the idea of like side hustles and things like that, it's still really hard to pick the right one.
Are you doing anything at the moment, or like are you thinking about it?
Yeah, very much planning something. But like I say, I'm quite specific in what it wants to be able to do. Obviously, it's something I want to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I want to be able to scale up in the future. So, and when I say that, I very much mean like I want it to have the potential to earn good money.
Yeah.
And I want it to be purely digital. So like, one of my good mates, he's absolutely prolific at like Amazon selling, and he's brilliant at it.
Yeah.
I gave it a very, I gave it an initial go, but I just didn't like the actual physical side of it. I know that sounds really. really
you mean like what, sending stuff and
like physically packing stuff up, and that for me, I'm glad I did it, because I learned I want everything to be able to be done through a phone or a laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my mate Reese. He's absolutely brilliant at it.
It's going to take so much of your time up, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and he graphs it. He absolutely graphs it.
I mean, that's like small business sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose like you got to scale that stuff up, haven't you? And I don't know. There's obviously what you're saying is you want to pick something that like minimum work for the maximum sort of potential.
Yeah, which sounds really lazy.
Well, it's just clever, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To try and find that thing if you can find it.
Exactly, and if you can make it something you enjoy, then when you do finish a day of work, I mean, even though I love my job, at the end of the day, it is still work. So you sort of you get tired and you get burnt out, and you don't want to be thinking, oh, I need to do this now. But yeah, certainly planning. I think I'd like it to be something around, well, almost similar to what I do with the day job, I guess, because I enjoy it. But whether it's like educating people on personal finance or investing, and actually finding a solution on how people can really get started with it instead of just talking about it.
You mean like speaking to people maybe like one-on-one and stuff, or
possibly? Yeah, I think there's loads of interesting things out there. Like I don't know if you've heard of like Patreon, for example. Yeah. I just think
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and then like for anyone that hasn't heard of it, it's just someone can start something, and then you have like a different tier packages. You can price them at different things, and you offer certain things. So
you can support them basically, can't you, in what they do? I follow a guy who does it, and he goes around the world doing like crazy challenges and stuff, and traveling, and he also plays that game where you've got to guess where you are in the world.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
And but yeah, he gets like, I think it's like $5,000 a month.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Off people, and his first tier is just $1 a month.
Yeah.
And I just do that one because it's just like, I don't want anything else from you.
Yeah.
I just want to support you.
Yeah.
And I think if people really like enjoy what you do and like respect your content, then like they just will support you.
And that's the beauty of something like Patreon, because he might have 2 or 3 other tiers where he gives like exclusive content to people or whatever, or one-on-ones or anything. But yeah, it would take him then 20 seconds to upload that tier where it's like, oh, just support my work for $1.
Yeah.
And suddenly 5,000 people are doing it, and
it just seems like to me as well, $1 is just like nothing.
Yeah.
A month, so it's just like $12 a year. It's like I watch your stuff like for hours and hours a year. So like, surely I can give you $1.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's really nice, and I'm really like switched onto it now.
Yeah.
Like when I find someone online, a new person, and I think, oh, this person's creating something quite cool, I immediately look if they've got Patreon.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I've watched a few videos and I'm enjoying it, and I think I think a lot of people are missing the trick on it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I think it's an absolute brilliant business idea.
Yeah.
I think it makes it so easy for creators, but also people that want more than just a video. Like if you're really engaged with a certain like content creator or whatever,
Yeah.
then you are gonna trust Patreon. You are gonna use it. I think I came across it through someone called Andre Gic on YouTube. I think he's got like 3 million subscribers or something, or close to that.
Yeah.
And it was how I initially got started with a lot of sort of stocks and shares and crypto content.
Learning about it.
Yeah, and one thing I always wanted was like a way to track like my investments, but I didn't really know how to get started with it. And in his video, he was just like, "Yeah, Patreon's down below. Got like a passive income tracker. Check it out." And I was like, "That is exactly what I need."
Yeah.
Suddenly, see it. It was like, I think it was like $6.50 a month.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is something I absolutely need." And
Yeah.
and you get involved, and it becomes like a whole community thing as well. And there's other people, and it's just brilliant, really. But I'm not in a. I love the idea of side hustles. I'm not in a rush to get one out. It's what you said. I think you need to make sure you need to pick the right thing.
You're just interested in the idea of it.
And if someone comes to me and talks about this idea they've had, I absolutely love it. Like I could easily chat for hours with you on your plans with this and like what you want to do, why you enjoy it, what skills you've learned from it. Or like if I could see in any way where I think I could help with that, like I love the whole process of it. I just think I'm in favour of everyone doing it for sure.
Talking. I'm trying to fucking read my notes at the same time. I don't know how some people do this. Lex, when I watch Lex, he'll ask a question and then he'll almost ignore the guest.
Yeah.
He'll just be like reading his notes. It seems rude.
I see that with Bartlett as well. He's got like his iPad, doesn't he? Do you watch Diary of a CEO?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, it is funny because he doesn't even hide it in some of the camera angles. He's just there like scrolling. But I guess like he removes himself from the podcast a bit. At the end of the day, the person speaking is speaking to Bartlett, obviously, but
mainly
really
speaking to the people listening.
It's
Yeah,
everyone listening. He doesn't make it about himself always. And
the thing is, I've realised as well, like, because obviously I'm doing that. I'm like checking my notes and stuff. Like, I've realised later when I listen to it, there's bits I hear and I'm like, I never even heard the person say that. Like it'll only be a small moment, but like I'll be like, I didn't even hear that, and it's just like, so I suppose to be able to conduct a decent interview, you do need to be able to sort of check where you are a little bit. But
I think that's a strong listening skill at the end of the day. It's like honing in on keywords. It's funny, like when you're actually with with someone, I don't think anyone ever listens to absolutely everything they say.
No.
Like your mind does wander.
It's a percentage of it.
Yeah, of course. And I'm like that when I listen to podcasts. I might not take everything in.
Yeah.
But then there'll be like a keyword. My brain will be like, ding.
What's this? Yeah,
I need to tune in on this part.
100%, yeah. ChatGPT, what's happening? How important is money to you, Jay?
Money, yeah. I think like the money happiness relationship is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
And I don't think money can buy happiness.
No.
But I think it can reduce a lot of stress, potential problems in your life.
Yeah.
But I think my overall take on it is the more self-aware you are, the more you can be happy with a larger amount of money, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people that think money is going to make them happy and they get it and all it is a status symbol to them, I don't think that is going to make them feel fulfilled or very, very happy. But I think when you know in life what things make you happy and you can then spend money on those things, you're like, actually, money is quite important. I'm trying to think of an example really. Like, what's something I overspend on? So I spend about 134 quid a month on the gym.
Yeah.
But the gym, I'll go to David Lloyd. But for me, I play a lot of tennis.
Yeah.
That has tennis, which I can play and book a court anytime.
Mm.
It'll have the gym itself. Both those things put me in a way better mood after every time I do one of them.
Yeah.
It'll have swimming, which I might do from time to time for cardio. And then it'll have big one, sauna steam room.
Yeah.
Which is so good for like mental health as well as your physical health.
How long do you spend in there? Like,
depending on the day, really. I mean, if I'm on my own, I'll probably do 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna, get out, get in like a plunge or cold pool or whatever, shock the system, get back in, and then maybe get in the steam room. Then do the sauna for maybe another 10, 15.
Is this all after a workout?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like to cool down almost, or like.
Yeah, massively. And it's, to be honest, it's a time to get off my phone as well. I mean, I work obviously on a screen all day. I then get to the gym. I'll have music or podcasting. And I'll be on my phone in between sets or whatever. And then it's like that's like a good hour of just
nothing
off
but
screen time.
being on your own in your own mind.
100%. And for me, like coming back to the money thing, it's not the fact that the money itself buys happiness, but it's like knowing how to spend it, I think, will bring you happiness. And for me, like that is an expense each month I will always make, because I know that those 5 key things massively contribute to how I feel.
You're not just buying stuff for the sake of it and not thinking about it. You're thinking about what you spend the money on, and you're thinking, actually, when I get these things, do they make me happy, or do I just get them and then they pile up?
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Like I'm not the type of person to just get on ASOS and spend every month, because I know that constantly buying like new clothes, for example, that's not gonna. It might give me like a short-term dopamine rush where I'm like, oh, cool, I've got this coming. Yeah. But actually, day to day, like I'd rather spend a lot on something like going to that gym, for example. And another reason why I love it as well is because when I'm in Manchester, I can use it. Yeah. And then when I get back to Lincoln, I can also use it. Or if I'm in London for work, I can just use the David Lloyd there. So it just feeds into my lifestyle, and and that's where I think it's really useful. But you got
to get things that add meaning to your life, and it all comes into the same thing, really, like meaning and things like that. I think, like and happiness. Like, I think you got to know what makes you happy, like you say. And if you don't know that, then you need to try and find it, don't you?
Massively, yeah. I mean, what's your take on the whole money happiness thing? Do you think it? Do you think it contributes happiness?
I think they're just two different things.
Yeah.
Like, I earn a decent amount of money from my job.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm not enjoying the job, and I feel like I've never been a person who's. How can I say this concisely? Because I'm bad at answering questions concisely. I feel like I accumulate a lot of money but don't spend a lot of it.
Right.
And I almost question myself at some points, like, why am I doing this? And what affects me is if I'm having a good day at work or not how much money I've got.
Right. Yeah.
Because I've got enough.
Yeah.
I've got enough.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm actually getting way more enjoyment out of doing this and having a good day at work, like designing something really good, like I'm really happy with, like, and I suppose that's like the ideal day sort of thing, like just having a good day where you can be creative and like learn something, and like Kinder, what is it? Is it Kindle a friendship?
Yeah, Kindle a friendship. Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I'm being cheesy as shit, but like, just being, I get a lot of enjoyment out of just being nice to people.
Yeah.
I think most people do. Like
100%. I mean, I think it's definitely that is more of a key to happiness without a doubt. But obviously you're in a great position.
Exactly.
Do you think if that got removed all of a sudden, you actually begin to?
I don't know.
Appreciate it.
I'd really like to know that. Yeah. And like you just said about being aware of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I am fully aware of that. I am lucky, you know. I'm fortunate. And like, I've said to people at work sometimes, like, I think it would be really interesting for myself to just like leave what I'm doing at work for like 6 months and just go and do some shit jobs.
Yeah.
Just some jobs where like people typically complain about them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where like being a customer service person or working in an Amazon warehouse or something. I just feel like it'd be really like eye-opening.
Just to put things into perspective a bit.
Yeah, basically. I feel like you lose perspective, and especially because like I'm not like one of the family members of the business. It's like I'm kind of untouchable in some ways, and I always try not to let that be a thing. Like I want to be there for a reason, and be doing my part. But yeah, you don't know, do you?
Yeah,
it's hard to see yourself sometimes.
You really don't, and I think obviously it is what you said. I think when you're in that position, you'd have to have it removed to really know the answer. Yeah. But definitely, I think with work and stuff, I think there's other things which factor into happiness. Like one of the things I love about my job is that it's pretty much remote. Mm-hmm. I'll go to London maybe on average once a month or once every other month, and I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. Yeah. But having that freedom to almost get back and if I want to work a week from Lincoln, I can do. Want to, go here, there, whatever. It works really well.
When you go to London, then do you see like a lot of people from the company? Like you get to actually spend time together and talk about things.
Yeah, massively.
How long do you spend like there when you go?
Maybe like 1 or 2 nights. To be fair, it depends. Like obviously, I'll be there for a specific reason most of the time, because obviously a lot of my job is writing. Yeah. So if I'm there, it'll be because something's maybe going on. Like last time I was sitting on the panel for this event, it was like too stressed to invest, how to invest in your 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. And I was very much there to give like my strategy when it comes to investing. Mm-hmm. Whereas these 2 lads from Millennial Money and this girl called Ola from All Things Money, they were there to give like slightly different takes. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the reason I went down to London was to do this event, which was after work, and it was really class, to be honest. Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, I'll catch up with everyone in the office, and we'll just catch up about almost like day-to-day things that's going on in your life a bit more, which sometimes I guess you can lose when you are remote, because it's very much,
it's so work driven, isn't it? Like everything's work driven when you're remote normally. Like
yeah, it can be. I mean, obviously you'll catch up and stuff on call, which is nice, but it's just almost like the little things, like walking down and grabbing lunch with someone where you're not actually on your laptop, but you're just chatting about like what's going on in the world or something.
Yeah, and you get to walk around and see things and spend time together. Yeah, it's important, I think. I do think it's really important. Do you think that's missing from like working from home? Is that one of the downsides, would you say, or are you quite happy in your own company? Like, yeah,
I'm someone who's very, very okay in their own company. Probably always have been. Like, obviously, I live alone. Yeah. And yeah, I really like it because I feel like I can just focus, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't think it's for everyone. No. I think a lot of people need that constant like I do get good people interaction. Don't get me wrong. It's another reason why I come back to why I spend so much on the gym each month, because that's another avenue to see people have interaction and things. Yeah. But for me, with my work, I like to be like dialed in and very like focused with it. So I actually my least productive days are probably the days where I'm actually in the office, because I've grown so used to working on. Yeah, I might have some chill music on in the background or something, but really I'm on my own in my own like world.
Yeah, 100%. My mum works from home. She lives in France.
Nice.
She works for the business as well, but she says that like when she's in the office, she says it's crazy how much less she gets done.
Yeah,
because she's just like, even if you're not talking to other people, you're just hearing stuff, and you can't like turn off from what you're hearing. Sometimes you have to like go. It gets your mind going, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm someone that if I've got like 4 or 5 tasks to get through, I'll very much like mentally assign it and how I want to. All right, when do I want to prioritize each one? Obviously, if you're in the office and that's not always the case.
It's a bit of a horrible feeling, to be fair.
Yeah,
like when you're getting distracted and you can't like get on with what you've wanted to get on with.
Yeah,
it can piss you off massively, can't it? Like,
yeah, or like someone who you're good mates might be sat next to you and you're like, oh, I know that they need this, so I'm going to do this, but then you end up missing something else. And it's just interesting. I really think it depends on the person.
And the job role as well.
Massively.
Like the job role's the big part of it.
Yeah, and some jobs can't be done remote. Like, I'm a big believer in that. Some of them you need to be, I think, in person. But I think for maybe a lot of the more digital ones and stuff, it works. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You still play quite a lot of tennis then?
Yeah.
So you've always played tennis, haven't you? When did you start playing tennis?
I can't even remember, to be honest. But yeah, since I can remember, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of my earliest memory playing tennis. Do you know what? It was probably at either Christ Hospital School in the sports hall or Yarborough, where I had these initial lessons, I think.
Yeah.
But that all stemmed because my brother was doing this tennis week thing at Eastgate Tennis Club in Lincoln. Yeah. And then I think Mum always says I just said to her, I want to play, but I was too young. So I got booked into these classes and yeah, just always kept it up. I did, like I think probably a lot of lads did, like 5 or 6 sports up until the age of, I don't know, probably like year 9, year 10. And it gets to a point where your parents are sort of like, right, you gotta sack them off now, just because life and
You got to get on with other stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like approaching GCSEs and all of that, and just time really.
Yeah.
And yeah, then just began to really enjoy like these Thursday classes I was having, and then just gradually began to get a little bit better and stuff, which always helps. And then I've always just always kept it up through uni and stuff, or before uni I'd do like a lot of tournaments. But then obviously that sort of stopped as I got to uni, and then would play for the team, and it was just great because that would be a great like social bunch as well, people that you could like go out with after and
know a lot of people through it then, like sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was quite lucky because in Liverpool the tennis society or sports, whatever you want to call it, was quite big really, and everyone was very big on going out, which was really good. Especially like we had quite a lot of success as well. Like I think we got promoted all 3 years or something, or certainly 2 out of the 3 years. And
yeah, man. What do you like? Why tennis other than anything else? Because I like tennis. I don't play it much at all. Yeah. But what I like about tennis, and you might agree with this, is like it's very active, really active, like pushing yourself. Yeah. You can and it's knackering, isn't it?
Yeah. But
it's also very objective based, like very very like sort of ping pong sort of. I don't know. It reminds me of like a video game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Like why do you like it?
I think I know what you're getting at. Yeah. I think it's first off, it comes back to when you said, you know, are you all right like working from home and stuff? It's a solo sport mostly. Obviously, you can play doubles and stuff, but you're out there just on your own. So I like the fact it's all down to you. With team sports, I always get a little bit more frustrated with, because if I'm not playing very well, I feel awful.
Yeah,
so I'm letting
everyone down.
Yeah, if it's like footy game for instance, and it's like 5 aside or 11 aside, and you think I'm letting 10 other people down here, and I love the fact with tennis it's just you.
So you like dying by your own sword, basically.
Yeah, basically, like, you know, if I'm going to be shit playing, then that's on me. But also I think it's what you were saying, it's the nature of the sport is repetitive, right? So you're building these habits, and it's and then when you play against someone who's like a similar level and stuff, it almost becomes like chess.
Yes. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about hitting the ball back over the net, I guess. It's about, right, this person's weak at this shot. I need to make sure I'm playing at 80% of my shots into the shot that they struggle with, or it can be
placement,
like different, height, spins, whatever. So, I don't know why really. I think it's just like anything with hand-eye coordination, where you're hitting something. I just always liked those sports. Like, I always got a little bit more bored with like badminton, but again, same concept. I always enjoyed it.
Bit slower, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, just anything where it's like you've got like a ball, or you've just got a racket, and just for some reason I don't know.
Tennis is more brutal, isn't it? And the speed that the ball goes at, it's just like it's pretty intense. I mean, how fast do they serve them at Wimbledon? Like,
the men's game easily getting into 120s. The best servers will hit 130s, 140s, 40 mile per hour.
Do you like watching it as well?
Yeah, although probably not as much as people would think based on how much I play. I think the whole sport is in a tricky time at the minute. It's getting better.
I think it's on having a bit of a lull. Like, it's not sort of at its best.
A little bit. I think the nature of tennis, it's quite a hard game just to sit and watch, and that's coming from someone that like plays it all the time.
Likes to play it, yeah.
So I think it helped when you had like Federer. Obviously, you got Nadal, Djokovic. These massive characters, global. Even if people didn't like the sport that much,
They knew about them. Yeah.
they would be engaged with these people.
Yeah.
And I think now the sport's in a decent place. It's got quite cool people. I don't know if you saw like Breakpoint on Netflix, but the new people coming through, they're quite not to say like Gen Z or whatever, but they're bringing the sport to a younger audience, which is good.
Yeah. Bit like Drive to Survive for
Yeah.
F1, isn't it? That's really helped, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's got a lot of American people into F1 as well.
Massively, yeah. I think, to be honest, I think Netflix are taking the success of that and trying to apply it across other sports. And tennis has been one. They're doing one with golf.
Yeah.
And I think it massively helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the setup of the sport, obviously, you've got 6 games to a set, and then you need to win 3 sets in a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
No matches are really often done at a Grand Slam under 2 hours. So it's like...
Yeah, it's a long old do, isn't it?
Yeah, like who's going to sit and watch 2 hours? It's just like, give me the highlight reel.
You got to be a real, you got to be a real fan, haven't you, to do that? Yeah. I suppose that's it. You got any like big role models in your life, or like that you know of, people that you know of?
Role models an interesting. I've never ever been asked that. Role models, yeah. I mean, family's obviously an easy, obvious answer. I think most people would obviously say their family.
Yeah.
In terms of like well-known people, probably come back to it. Probably Stephen Bartlett. I think he's ace with what he's done.
Yeah.
I think he's gone down that business and entrepreneurship route.
Achieved a lot.
Yeah.
At such a young age as well. Like.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's sort of done it all without being reliant on, like, say, mainstream telly or like something. I know he's on like Dragon's Den,
but he did that. He did all that before that, didn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah, before he got on TV and things. Yeah.
He built up his own profile.
Yeah.
In this like new age that we're in of like content creation or whatever, just literally sitting down and doing it himself. And I think that's class. I think that is.
Yeah. We're very traditional in the UK, aren't we?
Yeah.
And like he stands out on his own a little bit compared to a lot of people who are like seen as like big business people.
Yeah.
He's quite unique in the UK, I'd say.
Massively, yeah. I think his like pull factor across like different guests he'll get on like Diary of a CEO as well just shows how probably like well respected he is.
Yeah. And open to stuff that's just like interesting conversation, you know.
Yeah, I think it's the level of open-mindedness which he's got, which is probably why he's a bit of a role model in that sense. He's just, you know, if he gets like some sort of expert on, he doesn't, whatever the person says, all right, he might not agree with it all, but he will take it on board and he'll ask them questions on it and try and understand why they think it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that level of open-mindedness which is how he's been able to get to like where he is.
Yeah. It's important. I've been thinking that a lot recently. Like, I think people who are willing to be wrong are probably some of the most successful people, and they don't they don't hang on to beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really important to like question your own beliefs all the time.
Massively, mate. Like, as I've gotten older, I've realised people that, you know, when you meet someone new, you almost click with straight away.
Yeah.
Is anyone that's open-minded. Like if someone's got that, I know I'm just going to click with them straight away because I love it.
Because they want to learn about you, you want to learn about them.
Yeah, or not even about each other, but just about things like in the
stuff,
world.
Yeah.
And I think the people I probably struggle with most are probably the closed mindsets where it's like just an immediate no to something.
They've decided their position on things a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's that unwillingness, I guess, to accept that something else might be a certain way than what they believe.
I think it's where a lot of happiness comes from as well. If you can be like that as you get older, I think when you begin to like sort of settle with your own beliefs, I think you kind of stop learning maybe and like stop accepting new information in.
Massively.
And I think it's really important. Yeah.
Slightly off tangent, but just your point on like happiness as well. One which ties into that is gratitude, I think.
Yeah.
You listen to podcasts nowadays, they always talk about it, don't they? But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. What do you think of like gratitude and stuff?
I don't know really. I haven't really thought about it.
No.
Yeah.
Let's think about it.
But tell me. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what it means.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's like being grateful. Yeah. Being grateful for what you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being happy with what you've got.
Yeah. And I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's massive, isn't it?
I think it comes back to what you were saying, like when you said, I'd love to take 6 months out of working at a job which is that would maybe be harder going for you, or maybe didn't like pay quite as well or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember the other day I was in the gym, and there's this father that comes in with his son, and his son has quite severe, I think it's Down syndrome, but it's pretty severe, and he's pretty much there every other day, and he takes him swimming. Yeah, I've probably seen them in the pool once, and I see them most days.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of the time is in the changing room, either getting his son dressed or then getting his son out of the pool and then showering him down and getting him dressed and everything.
So he's looking after his son. He's not getting much time to do anything else. Like.
Yeah, massively. And I remember I was walking through, and I don't know what it was, something like narked me that day, and I just see it, and I'm just like, God, like what
am I pissed off about?
The stresses I've got in life.
Yeah.
I'm just like, clue up, Jay, because it's poor, mate. Like, you're looking at this and it's just incredible. And I just think that's where the penny began to drop for me. I was just looking at it, I was like, I need to just be so grateful for what I have. And people say it all the time. And I don't think it's a case of doing it because you need to be grateful. I think be grateful because it will make you feel better.
Yeah.
Like,
do it for yourself.
Do it in a selfish way.
Yeah.
Because you will feel better when you realise how much you've actually got. But I feel like you have to see these things in life to actually be like, shit, that's not me for 6 a bit. I got caught in traffic or whatever on the way here, and I'm narked about it because now I'm not going to get in like half an hour later, and I'm then going to have to go to bed late, and I'm going to be tired in the morning. It's like, no, just actually,
deal with it.
Yeah,
deal with it.
Realise how good you've got it.
Yeah, man. It's hard to do that though sometimes, I suppose. But like, it is important to try and do it as much as you can. I think level with people and understand their like plight, because like some people have got a hard time, day in day out. But like humans are amazing and they deal with it, don't they? And I think like, it's an important thing to get in your head, I think.
And the crazy thing is, I reckon, I don't know, I've got no evidence to base this on, but I reckon if I asked that father who does that with his son, I reckon he'd say he's grateful for a lot in life.
Yeah.
Despite the fact...
Because of the hardship. Like,
because he'll be aware of other people's situations, and he'll think, well, yeah, we've got it tough, but there are other people that have got it even more difficult. And I just think when you realise that everything is relative in life, whether you're going through something bad or whether you're going through something good, someone's going through something better or something worse.
Yeah, in their own world.
Yeah.
In their own head.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? Relativity between people is like everyone is going through something, I
love it. It's probably my favourite quote. Just everything's relative.
Yeah.
I think it applies to everything. It applies to like happiness. You can apply it to money in the sense that some people might think, all right, if I get this job which pays 50 grand, I'm going to be buzzing forever. And then you get the job that pays 50 grand. And then actually it's like, this person's on 75.
Yeah.
And he's on 75, she's on 75. Oh, I'm not.
If you're never grateful for what you've got, then like you're never going to be grateful for what you get.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, it's a perfect way to summarise it.
Yeah. I think it's important to think about. Do you think having your operation and everything made you more grateful?
Massively, yeah. Everything with health, because up until that point, I'd had a fairly, I would describe, cushy life in the sense that great parents, great family, like no real traumas. People talk about what they've had growing up, but I can't say I had anything difficult growing up. I had it all really good, and then I just started having these it's like kidney issue, and it got to a point where I'd literally, was after a tennis match actually, and I'd had less than a quarter of a pint, and I was instantly just in agony.
Really?
And at that point, I was like, this is happening too often now.
Yeah.
Long story short, I had a thing called a PUJ, kidney obstruction. And I feel like they don't know loads about it, but it essentially feels like your kidney tubes in the past, before the op, they would almost get like blocked up, and then your kidney would feel like it's going to explode. And I couldn't sleep.
So it's physical discomfort, like
massive, yes. So physically, just painful.
Yeah.
And then obviously had this surgery booked in for it. It was only keyhole surgery, so it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, there are worse things out there than this. I'm not pretending it was by any means
massively
people go through worse
or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I did stop drinking for probably about 2 years whilst I was waiting for the surgery. Which was great actually, because I did my masters during it and I had no distractions, so I ended up coming out with the first, which I definitely wouldn't have done if I had alcohol.
Would have been levered all the time.
Yeah. Would have just been like years 1, 2 and 3 at undergrad. But and then obviously I was like sat in hospital for a week. Don't even remember the first 3 days. I was so drugged up on morphine. But I remember just feeling so debilitated and just sat there and just massively things got put into perspective. And again, I come back to it with like gratitude. I had a stent in my body for 6 weeks. So I left my house once just to walk up to the top of my road and came back. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, like I'm knackered. I'm actually knackered getting to the top here.
Because your body just wasn't performing as it should, basically.
I was just on the sofa for so long. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was just, I think when I was at my lowest weight, I was down to about 59 kg, which I think is I think that's like 9.1 stone, 9.2 stone.
Yeah, man.
Which is, it's not good.
Yeah.
But then after that, obviously, then they removed the stent, and then after about 3 months, been on like the right sort of medication as well. Then it's all been good since, really.
Yeah. Not 100%, but a lot better.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm the quality of life's back, so it's if I want to go out, I can.
Yeah. But you still can't like go crazy on drink or anything. Is it any drink, or is it alcohol a lot worse than anything else?
No. Now, to be fair, now I think I probably can go. I'm just such a lightweight, so I'll just
me too,
'cause I've lost my tolerance now.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't. I don't feel it at all, no matter what I'm drinking. So that side of it's great.
Yeah.
No, I'd say that's all pretty much back really. But I'll be on meds and stuff, but it's only pills to chuck down my body in the morning.
Is that you still have to carry on doing that?
Yeah. So that's fine though. I don't mind that. I'm, like I say, so many worse things in the world. At first I remember thinking, oh my God, I've got to take 8 tablets a day. That whole idea scared me so much. I hated it. I hated being reliant on it.
That scares me, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'd hate to feel, I mean, it is what it is, but I feel like if I was new to that, I'd feel bad. I'd feel like, oh, right, well, if I have to take 8 tablets a day, there's something so wrong with me. Yeah. But there's so many people that do that. It's crazy.
It is, yeah. And the other thing I'll do is every 2 weeks I have to inject myself with this like it's like pen thing which keeping
is it
cold
insulin
in the
or
fridge. No, it's not insulin. I'd butcher the name, so I won't even attempt it. But it's
some sort of thing.
Yeah. And again, like that whole idea like scared the hell out of me at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you realise how many people have it worse, and actually if it does return your quality of life, and I make sure I stay very up to date on health things, and one day I want to have stem cell therapy. I don't know if you've like looked into that much.
No.
Yeah, I think it will be like the next big thing. Which,
what does it do for you?
It sort of regenerates cells in your body. So in my case, like cells might say like attack each other if my body's like inflamed. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, it's quite mad. They take like an umbilical cord just from someone at birth, and they basically extract millions of stem cells from these umbilical cords.
Yeah.
And then in over the course of 4 hours, just slowly inject them all into you.
Wow.
And those cells go and latch onto your bad cells.
They complete things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they regenerate them into healthy cells.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Who worked that out?
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
That's mental. Yeah.
Someone who needs a fucking raise, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's something I definitely want to do. It's not like made like public in the sense that it's on NHS. Like you'd have to go private and do it. And I think it costs about it does vary from about 20 to 35 grand. I mean, I think it goes higher, but yeah, there's these places in like Antigua or the Cayman Islands where you go and they give you like loads of stuff. So it could be like is it chirotherapy?
Is that like
pronounce that right?
What is that?
Where they move your joints and it sort of
yeah.
clicks. I mean, I wouldn't do that myself, but they give you this whole experience, and then they sit you down and basically just put these things into like your veins.
Yeah.
And then you're meant to rest for a day, and then the research around it's incredible. It doesn't just heal any, or it might not work for everyone, obviously, but people notice things like your nails grow insanely quickly because it's healthy, and like your hair, like people's hair have grown back and stuff.
Yeah, man, I've noticed that. Like, I've noticed loads that like, which as you get older, your hair just grows. My hair grows so much slower than it used to.
Yeah,
it used to be like all the time I'd be cutting it. Now it's just like so much slower. Yeah, all that stuff just breaks down, doesn't it? And
yeah, so I'm sure if like, I don't know, it'd be really interesting to see if stem cell therapy, like that's just one effect of it. But for me, I'd love to do it because I'm aware that even though I feel in physically good shape, my body's probably taken a lot of damage, and I just think stem cell therapy one day will be a good way to
improve that.
Yeah, do you know Eddie Hall, World's Strongest Man? Is his name?
I've heard the name, I think, but no.
I think he's called The Beast or something.
Yeah, but, I think I've heard that.
Yeah, he did it, and he documented the whole thing. And he said that because he'd been lifting so many heavy weights throughout his career, so much damage on his joints. So this was a way that he could increase his life expectancy. So I think a doctor was like,
"You're doing yourself in."
I might be misquoting the facts, but I think he said it was like mid-70s or something. He wouldn't expect to get past it. So he thought, right, I'll get this therapy and me to regenerate a lot of broken cells or damaged cells in my body.
Yeah. That's mental. I didn't even really. I've heard the name stem cell.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Stem cell
therapy.
I've heard of it, but like, I've never really considered what it is.
Joe Rogan speaks a lot about it, to be fair, and I'm not a massive Joe Rogan listener, but he's insanely interested in stem cell therapy, and he had a very famous person on his podcast. I've forgotten who it was, but his father was dying of some sort of awful cancer.
Yeah.
And as a last resort, he got him booked in for this stem cell therapy. Cost thousands and thousands, but ended up getting rid of the cancer.
Wow.
And it's not to say it gets rid of all cancers, because I wouldn't dare say that it would or does. But
people are going to try things, though, aren't they?
Exactly. Like, and the way the research is going, I'm of the opinion that stem cell will be the next big thing to actually cure a lot of the shit diseases
that people have to deal with. Yeah.
Health conditions that exist. So
sounds interesting, man. I'm going to look into that. Sounds really interesting.
Definitely something I want to take a 2-week holiday one day, go Cayman Islands, chill out for a bit, and get some stem cell therapy.
Get some stem cell therapies, mate.
Yeah.
Sort me out, babu. Obviously, I was thinking it earlier, and I don't know how much of this you're into, but we spoke about it at JD's wedding, actually, I think. So obviously, you're an investment writer. Yeah. How much, like, ChatGPT, what's that like? What's that made you think, and are you actually using it much, or is it a bit of a fad? Or
Nah, it's not a fad, and I use it a lot.
Do you really?
Massively.
Wow.
because anyone that refuses to think it can't at least help your job is just going to get phased out. Like there's I think there's this quote going around about AI at the moment, which is AI won't steal your job, but someone that knows how to use AI will steal your job.
Yeah.
And I do massively believe in that, because businesses are all different, right? You can't just go into ChatGPT and pull out what you need.
Yeah.
But it can massively speed up your own process.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, obviously it's an interesting one for me, because literally what I do is right. And you think, well, there's this tool here which can do it 10 times quicker than you, probably more accurate than you, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I've tend to find with it is, instead of just going in, hopping into it and being like, write me a script on this or write me an article on this, actually, if you give it correct prompts, you can make it assist or you can get its output a lot better, if that makes sense.
Improve what you're doing. So do you ever give it something you've already written and go, can you improve this in these ways?
Yeah, massively. So if I've written something and I think, oh, this just is a bit wordy, or it can be more concise, I might put it in and say, reword this in a concise way which doesn't miss any of the key facts out, and bang. And then I might not take that. It might just use a particular word, and I think, oh yeah, this summarizes those 3 words far clearer and more concise, and I'll take that or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to sort of check any facts which it spits out, I think, because it's not always like, accurate. But that's on you. And that's why I think it's not just down to AI doing the thing. It's like you've got to be the one that's actually managing it. It's almost like a personal assistant.
Yeah. I suppose it's like I suppose if you're going to talk about like explaining it from a basic level, I think some people have described it as like a better search engine in a way. Yeah. And it kind of is, but it's also more than that. Like it can, like you can ask it to do things, for example, like write about the Apollo 11 space mission in the style of Ricky Gervais. Yeah. Or whatever. Like it can do that.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's one of the most impressive things I've found that it can do. And it always does it convincingly.
Yeah.
Almost.
Agreed. I did a similar one. I got it to write a poem on Donald Trump. Write a poem in the style of Donald Trump, and it did it.
Yeah.
And it does it instantly, which is insane. And then even if that's not good enough, you can regenerate the answer, so it does it in a different way.
I love that. I love that so much. I got it to write something like some lyrics once, and it said it had like you and I in it a lot, like those 2 words. And I was like, can you just remove those words? And it did it, and it made this really profound, like artistic sounding that obviously was pulled from millions and millions of different articles.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, isn't it? It references everything on the internet pre 2021.
Correct. Yeah. So I guess for like my job as well, like when I go back to the newsletter, I do 3 weekly things which moved in the stock market. Obviously you couldn't get ChatGPT to do that because it only goes up to 2021. So there are some limitations. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The level, the way you can customize it, you have literally tell it to do anything, and it sort of will. And your point on like a search engine's interesting, because I'm not yet at a point where if I'm watching TV show or something and I, people say Google it.
Yeah.
I'm not at a point where I ChatGPT it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't give you the source.
It's too current. It's like conversational, isn't it?
Yeah, and if I'm Googling, say, something on health, I want to know the author, the website. The chances are, from an SEO point of view, if you're ranking in the top page Google, your content's going to be accurate. Because Google has sort of validated it, I guess, so to speak.
In loads of different ways.
Yeah, whereas you don't have that trust from ChatGPT at the end of the day. Like, it probably is right, but I would still go to the search engine like Google to check.
Corroborate it. Yeah, I suppose it's like... that's interesting. I never really thought about that. Yeah, because like there's a lot of citation, isn't there, in some of the stuff you do, I suppose. And like, you can't just be quoting ChatGPT and it's like, well, where did you get that from? It's like, well, an AGI,
an AI model,
just made it up. Like, I suppose it's weird, isn't it?
It is weird, but there's the output of text it can do, which is like ChatGPT 3.5, and then there's this whole area of ChatGPT 4, where someone designed, and I mean a basic design of a website on a napkin just using a pen. Yeah. And they scanned it into ChatGPT 4, which I don't think is available for everyone at the minute.
No, it's not, is it? No.
But it then went and built the website. So
Yeah.
it just spat out the code, and someone just copied and pasted that code into Website Builder, and the website was done.
Yeah.
Or you can do the same for like a, you know, like that Microsoft presentation
Yeah.
software, you know, just like Microsoft Word, but Microsoft
Oh,
presentation.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint. So that's it.
Yeah.
I use the Google versions now, so I've forgotten all things of Microsoft.
All the things from school that we used to use. Yeah.
All that old, outdated stuff. But no, there's a feature on that where you can just paste code in. So you can ask ChatGPT, make me a 20-slide presentation that looks funky
Yeah.
on, I don't know, whatever you do, like stationery or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You copy and paste it and put it in, and it will just do it. And you don't have to faff about with, you know, fucking word art or make my text 16 size or whatever. It's just done. And
It just bases it on other things and works it out.
And you
makes
can
it look
say,
nice.
you can say, don't go too hard on animations. Just make a few, make it classy. and
Yeah,
it will.
reduce some of this and add some of that.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing, and I think people don't realize how revolutionary that's going to be. Like, I don't know if you listened to the conversation with the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman.
Yeah, I'm familiar. He was at Y Incubator, I think. wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
But,
I've not listened to his.
He did a conversation with Lex.
Right, did he?
In the last 2 weeks. You
Okay.
really should watch it.
Yeah,
Like, listen to it.
100%
It's
I will.
amazing. And like, obviously, he's quite positive about it.
Yeah.
Because it's his business. But like, I was blown away in that conversation multiple times by like some of the things he says it's going to change, and like he said one of the main things he hopes it will change and thinks it will change is like just like research in science.
Yeah.
Like being able to like quickly, obviously he must be interested in science, but like being able to quickly like reference other like papers and things.
Yeah.
To be able to find out, you know, has this been done before, or am I wasting my time here, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And and then obviously it might be able to come up with novel solutions to things,
100%. I mean,
especially GPT-4, like or Chat 4, whatever it is.
I mean, ChatGPT is an interesting one because it fundamentally it's text. That's what it's giving you, even though it's beginning to actually build the websites. It's all still text. Other forms of AI, which Altman might have been referring to, I don't know, but I definitely will watch it. But AI can then scan someone's back and detect if there's early onset, like very early onset of skin cancer, which a human cannot do.
No.
And suddenly, if you, as with cancers, if you detect it early, you've got a better chance of preventing it.
Yeah.
So if AI can do that, it's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw recently, Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Apple CEO, and about 1,000 other tech business leaders all signed a document to pause all AI research for the next 6 months.
What? I heard about this and I thought it was bullshit.
No, it's legit, and I actually agree with it.
Really?
And I'm a massive advocate of tech and AI, but
Do you think it's too powerful?
The rate it is moving at now
Yeah.
is scary.
Yeah.
And I think there were 3 reasons why they mainly did it. I don't know if I can remember all 3, but one, and the lesser one, was like fake news. So did you see that image go around of the Pope?
Yeah.
It was like the Pope in a puffer jacket.
Yeah,
And he was
yeah.
in like hospital.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like the Pope comes out of hospital and is like wearing some like rapper's jacket.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like suddenly news publishers,
It's going to get full with bullshit.
you could make, you on the moon or something, and it would look really realistic. It's like Andy Bowser makes it to the moon. It's just like, well, we've got to be careful here.
It's
Fake
Mid-Journey,
news.
isn't it? Mid-Journey looks...
That's the
It's
one.
crazy,
Mid-Journey,
isn't it? Yeah.
So there's that. And then there's also,
Pause it for 6 months, though. I mean, what's going to happen after 6 months?
well, I think the main thing they're worried about is that AI is obviously going to get so smart, it just turns on us. Like real Iron Man, Age of Ultron.
That's what Elon says,
stuff.
doesn't he?
Yeah, and to be honest, my brain, I can't even get my head around that. Like,
No, I
it
can't.
probably would happen eventually.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to create these things at a rate where we can control it and not
Yeah.
just create it because we can.
Yeah, we're good at creating things because we can, though.
Yeah,
That's what we do, isn't it?
that is what we do. And yeah, and the other reason I think was because there's going to be a shift now in jobs. And the analogy I always think about is, do you know when Tesco made like self-checkout machines?
Yeah.
The people scanning the items on the tills lost their jobs because these machines started being able to do it.
Yeah.
But it created jobs for people that are working in software because they had to build the machines, right? So we lost people in one part, but we hired people in another.
Yeah.
And I think that happened at quite a slow rate, though.
Yeah, it wasn't that fast, was it?
Yeah. Whereas
Took a while.
with AI, I think overnight, literally when things are released, loads of like people that implement jobs. So like, for example, take like a writer's job. Maybe it will get to a point where it is just so clever they might lose their job. And then if so many people have lost their job in one quick go, that's going to like crash the economy.
Yeah.
So I think
too fast of a change. Yeah.
Too fast of a change. Even though long term you are still creating jobs because people need to build this AI. It's the shift, I think, and people.
That's going to cause a lot of problems, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not only because job, if we did let it loose, it would change jobs too quickly, but also the other side of the coin is like people are going to be pissed off. It's like you're slowing the rate of my business because you won't let me use this new system.
Well, exactly. Italy. Do you know about Italy? They've just banned ChatGPT.
Really?
And
you can't use it there.
Yeah, you can't use it there. And the media perception was like it's quite a positive move. And I was sort of thinking, well, if I'm doing the equivalent of my job in Italy and I've got global competitors that are able to use AI to advance their
skills and writing
job and do their job more effectively than I am, then I'm going to be fuming because and then suddenly I just half wonder, is Italy's economic growth going to be slower now because, or in certain industries they haven't got access to AI. I'm not saying ChatGPT alone will ruin Italy's economy.
But decisions like that
it can hinder it. So I don't know, I think we're just moving at a rate too quickly to keep up with. But I'm interested in the direction it will go. I don't think pausing it for 6 months is actually even that longer time.
And that's what I was just thinking. I was thinking it's kind of pointless because it's like it's going to happen anyway. And me and like some other people have already talked about like for example at our place, like I don't want anyone to lose their jobs, but like if ChatGPT can like talk to our customers on like chat tickets, talk to them better than most people can and in more detail, then why would we not use that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where it's down to the employee to step up and the employer, I think, and I'm very much referring to like myself in this, is right, how can I look at this and how can I take what it can do but also offer my input to make it better? So how am I like benefiting the business using it?
But you're creating new stuff though.
Yeah,
like you're creating new content all the time. I mean, one of the things that James, our web guy, said, he was like, I could just set this, if I could set this software, ChatGPT or something similar, to go through our whole website and make every description for every product. We've got like 45,000 products on our website.
Right.
If you could make every description for every product a little bit unique in some way, it would actually boost our rankings massively.
Massively, yeah. He's on about SEO there. He's just creating meta descriptions.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got 45,000 SKUs on your website, you don't want to. That's a long job to go. And he's probably got his hands busy. Unless he's going to have a team of 5 people under him, he ain't going to be doing, I imagine, 45,000 descriptions.
Yeah.
But if you can get ChatGPT to, if he can get him to, if you can just copy and paste the products in, and say write a description for each one that's optimized with keywords that will boost our chance of getting on page 1 when someone Googles this. Then for me that is a perfect example of human and AI working together
to make something better,
to get a job done, to get a massive job done, which would otherwise require like loads of time.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I thought it was really interesting, and who knows where it'll go. It's a bit of a scary one at the same time as being, it's exciting and scary, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's like DALL-E or DALL-E as well. That's a bit like that creates like images as well, and the level at which you can do it at, it's just scary. And I'd love to chat to like a product designer and get their thoughts on it. Do they?
Well, I mean, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I can start asking, I mean, I follow a guy.
Yeah.
Well, I know him. this guy came to us with an idea for a product on a bike, and he had a lot of people saying on he's got like a big Instagram page with like 100,000 followers. He's like, yeah, like people really want this. Do you want to make it? And we were like, we don't normally do that, but the fact that you've got quite a big page and you've got so many people who like it, and we like what you've done, we think it looks cool, we'll do it. So we're doing that. We're partway through doing that at the moment. But he's recently been using AI Midjourney to like, he'll go like, yeah, make me like a Tesla motorbike.
Yeah.
Does it, and then he adds his own like logos onto it, changes it, makes it right. Because obviously AI at the moment creates some pretty odd things as well.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, yeah, he's fully like into that, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to use this to like make my stuff better.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect example. I see people on LinkedIn who just, some people are so against it because I think they feel threatened by it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, use it, do exactly what you just described, take the image and then put your own spin on it that's relevant to your brand or business.
Yeah.
Same with writing content. What's your tone of voice? Is it friendly? Are you like orientated around the beginner?
Yeah.
Put nice, not jokes in there, but like put nice
Yeah.
lines, which
phrases and stuff.
make the reader feel at ease. Same with the Tesla motorbike. Like put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
Put your own brand colours on it, whatever. But it's almost like you've got a thing to do the bulk of the work, and you're then.
I looked at them though.
It.
I looked at the things he created with it, and I thought, and then what it made me think straight away was like, wow, that's like so inspiring to like, for me, for example, to create a shape, like draw something for a bike, like draw a CAD design for a bike or whatever. Like I looked at them and thought I could take inspiration from these things that were created by AI to make something myself. And also, apparently, like when you create a proper design, so like the file for those the two sides of that PlayStation 5 controller, there's a file somewhere in Japan for that,
right?
And it's called a step file.
Right.
Apparently GPT can create step files.
My knowledge on this isn't good then. So when you say what do you mean it can create a step file? Do you have to send a picture of that controller to GPT? Like,
I don't know really, but what I've read is that like you can, because step files are just zeros and ones,
right?
Code.
Okay.
You can actually, if ChatGPT can understand what step files are and visualize them, it'll get to the point where you can go, right, you see this step file for this controller, can you create me one that looks like, you know, slightly different in this way and in the style of Tesla or whatever, and eventually that will happen. So like you won't have to design there, sit there and draw those lines, you'll just tell it to keep reiterating on what you want.
It's just insane. Like I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm trying to get my brain to understand it, and it still just blows my mind.
But basically it means that I won't have to scan a bike and sit there and work out how to make a mudguard for it. I'll just scan the bike and say, here's the scan. You've seen all the other huggers that happened in the last however many years. Make me a hugger, a mudguard to fit that bike.
This is why I go back to the initial point on like side hustles though. When you realise that you can actually build processes like this, which what would have taken you days, weeks, months, sometimes years to do, you can do it in seconds with AI.
Yeah.
It's just like we've got all the tools to try and build financial freedom.
Yeah.
And like it's all being expedited through AI.
Yeah.
I just think
it's not going to mean people aren't going to want to buy the products.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still going to want to buy them.
People don't care how you did it. People don't care if I spent 1 second doing something or 10 minutes. If it adds value to them,
but you get the same outcome.
Yeah, it's like if Stranger Things, take like the most successful like Netflix doc, if that was made in half an hour or made over 3 years, people don't care.
No,
people just liked it, so they watched it.
Yeah. You can imagine as well, like it gets you thinking. Like you can imagine like films that are made just by AI.
Yeah, oh my god, that's going to be scary, isn't it? That is going to be.
And then you'd be able to go like, oh yeah, I like what's like a film that's really good. Like I like Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I want it with like these characters in it. Yeah, and then it'll just do it. It's crazy, man. Oh my god! And then you'll have to have like, I don't know. It's just endless stuff. And
yeah,
really interesting.
We're getting into Black Mirror territory, aren't we? Which is.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Any TV, film stuff that you've been watching recently, or do you watch much TV and film?
Do you know what? For years, I hadn't. I don't own TV in my place in Manchester.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't at all, and I've never really been. And I'd lived in 2 or 3 places on my own before that, and I didn't. They came with a TV, but I didn't rarely used it. I mainly just had the radio on there in the background. As of late, though, I have actually been watching a lot more stuff. But I'm trying to think what I've actually been watching. The Last of Us, Mandalorian. Yeah. I think I've just been on a Pedro Pascal graph, to be honest. Like both those.
Last of Us is amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, incredible. Monday would come around and I'd just be like, I'd finish work, I'd be like, get in, Last of Us time.
Me and Jem are the same.
Yeah. Thoughts on it?
Oh man, amazing. I mean, I played the game back in the day, so I knew the story, but they added a lot of new stuff to it. Like, especially that episode about the gay couple. Like, that's just completely new.
Oh, is it? Right.
But yeah, I mean, what blew me away in that was just like the sets. The sets.
I thought you said the sex for a minute.
The sex, yeah. The sex was good. No, the sets were like, just amazing. Yeah. Like the way they portrayed like apocalyptic, the apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And like, it was amazing. It just blew me away.
One thing I loved was I didn't ever play the game, so I didn't have any idea which direction the show was going in.
Nice.
But after the first 5 minutes, I very much got the Walking Dead vibes, as I think probably a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be so focused on the infected.
Yeah.
What I loved was it was more focused on how society was reacting to this pandemic, which is quite relevant off the back of COVID.
Yeah.
But actually, it's the human relationships that are affected and that you get invested in.
Yeah.
So
the zombies are sort of like an afterthought in a way.
Yeah, and like because they've built safety zones.
Yeah.
And like you see in the second episode, I think it is, like Joel, Pedro Pascal's character, he's obviously got a job, and you can tell he's not enjoying his life because his job is just, I think it's like shoveling dead bodies.
Yeah.
Thinking actually, like that is probably what would happen. You'd have to create a new like workforce, new jobs would have to be created, and then there'd be this whole hierarchical system of like it's the other effects. And I liked the way it didn't actually focus too much on the infected. It was more the
more about the people, the people, and like how, especially when they go to that town that's like it's in quite a cold area, isn't it? It's like snow. It's cold now, but yeah, like that town that's like fully like a little civilization, a normal place.
Yeah.
And like just it gets you thinking, doesn't it? Like imagine how scared. I mean, what it made me think was like I'd be so scared to live in a world where there like was so much uncertainty. Being mental, because we're just so many things in our life are just controlled by others.
Yeah.
And like we're looked after, aren't we?
Yeah.
By other people. It's other people's jobs to do things for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like in that world you're just like totally left on your own.
Yeah. I think that's what like got me hooked on it. It was when the show began to show you this, you think actually, if this did actually happen in real life, this is probably the route it would go down.
Yeah.
People that do survive would make these.
Felt quite realistic, didn't it?
Massively, yeah. And it's that, and then you compare it to what we have now and how, like there might be a group of people that are responsible for, I don't know, like making sure food's on the table. Like, you know, that episode where there was with the religious guy. And how they sort of got food sorted and how reliant those people were on. Were on like him and stuff. It's just, it was scary, but
like cult leaders. Almost.
Man, I felt bereft when the show finished. Like I was like, I need more of this. It's
there's a second game, don't you?
Yeah, I know there's gonna be a second season.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's gonna come out.
I don't know what they'll do because the second game is set slightly in the future.
Right.
Like probably 6 years or something, I think.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it's
that was quality. I loved that. The other thing I watched was which I really enjoyed was Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah, man.
Loved that. Just wholesome, feel good vibes.
Yeah.
I think I had Last of Us and Clarkson's Farm on the go at the same time. Two completely different.
Have you watched the whole thing now?
Yeah.
I've not watched the second series yet.
Oh, you've not watched the second series?
No.
Oh, mate,
I buzzed off the first one though. So cool.
Better than the first, I think. This one, yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, massively.
No, I think it's cool. I think Clarkson made a good decision there.
Yeah.
To do something real close to home.
Yeah. Agreed.
And like he's also showed a side of himself that like people. I mean, he still does that. He's still like daft and is like trying to fix stuff with Amazon and that.
Yeah.
But like, he's just like, it's just close to home and like felt more real, didn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Like,
just the whole almost like the whole dysfunctional family vibe, where it's just got these random characters, but they're just brilliant. And yeah, absolutely loved it. That was something which just made me feel good when I was watching it. I was like, yeah, this is...
Need to watch the second series of that, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, mate, get on. I'm jealous that you can...
Watch it all from the start. Yeah, man, it's cool. I really enjoyed the first one. I don't know why I've not watched it yet, to be honest. There's just so much stuff out there to watch. That's the problem, isn't it? There's so much stuff.
I think that's why I end up not doing it. I mean, I just think there is so much. I almost don't want to lose a load of time.
Yeah, you feel like you start something and you've got to finish it, and it's like 12 episodes, 3 series each, 12 episodes each, 3 series. It's just like I'm going to spend like so many hours watching this.
Yeah, and I'm always someone that wants to be doing something. Yeah. So I'd always get frustrated if I just found myself watching. I'll use Netflix or whatever as almost like an hour before bed. It's like unwind time. Just do it, and then that's fine. But if it was any more than that for me, I think I'd get annoyed at myself. I'd be like, no, you're not doing enough.
Quite driven then to do things and like learn. Do you like just be learning stuff as well in your spare time instead of just watching something? You'd rather be better in yourself. I suppose one of the things you mentioned was personal development.
Massively, yeah. I'm pretty obsessed with that, I think. I'm not a massive reader, actually. I'll listen to audiobooks and I'll consume like podcasts and read stuff online all the time, watch videos, all that educational content. But the books that I have actually dabbled in are always like personal development books. And like I say, I'll get agitated with myself if I'm doing something throughout the day that isn't productive into like bettering myself. I'll begin to get like quite annoyed. I think it's why I've really not enjoyed like being hungover in the last couple of years, because it just writes the day off. And I know like my brain's in no way able to function to do anything productive, but I'm still like, I'm annoyed I'm not doing it. So yeah, massively. I just love it, really. Sometimes I'll just burn out a bit, I think, because after work, and then I'll think about how can I better myself in this way, or physically, mentally, or whatever, or like it is go down the route of a side hustle, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think after a while, obviously, you do have to just chill out. Yeah, like yesterday, obviously it was bank holiday. Yeah, and I very much just chilled that day. I do think you should have one little lie-in each week. So like I'll often do that on a Saturday, and I might get up slightly later. And that's fine. And I think this is good, because even when I'm chilling, this is productive for me, because it's recharging me to then get on with
something later. I found as I've got a bit older, like I actually like to try and get up at the same time every day.
Right.
Just because like I feel like it can just set like that routine of like the same day at the same time every week, and then you fuck it all up on a Saturday. Yeah. And obviously staying in bed a bit later is not too bad, but like completely like disregarding the week and then going, right, I'm going to stay in bed for like 2 more hours. It kind of like, I don't know, I think it just sets you off on the wrong foot sometimes.
I know what you mean. I don't often feel better for it.
No, it's just a luxury, isn't it? Yeah. And it's like there's loads of things we do that like aren't better for us, but we think we like doing them. But yeah, I've been like my uncle Chris. He says he always gets up basically when the sun comes up. Right. And I was like, yeah, I bet that's pretty rewarding feeling, and like I bet it's good for you. Massively, because that's probably how we're supposed to live.
Yeah, they say, don't they? If you can get 10 minutes of sunlight before doing anything in the morning, before looking at your phone, whatever, or make your cup of coffee or whatever, and just be in sunlight, then it's your circadian rhythm. I think I might have butchered that pronunciation, but
pretty close. Sounds like what Huberman says.
Yeah, Huberman. Yeah, he's good part. I need to listen to more. My brother's obsessed with Huberman, loves him, but I need,
cool, isn't he?
Yeah, I need to listen to more of his stuff, but. Yeah, massively. I mean, I've started my place in Manchester. The blinds they're not blackout. Yeah. So when the sun comes through, I'm up. Yeah. And I wake up feeling so much better. Really. And then when I came back to Lincoln, I'd get in my room, and I'd go to bed or whatever, wake up and I'd feel more. I don't know, just blah.
Just stuffy and like
And yeah, it took me
foggy.
Yeah, it took me a while to put my finger on it. I was like, it's because I got a blackout blind.
Yeah.
So I went to bed with my blind just open, just window.
Yeah.
Just see through the window, and I'd wake up, and then I'd feel good again.
Yeah.
So I've started doing that now.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, massively get the sunlight in, wake up to sunlight. I'm a big believer in. Yeah.
Cool. Do you get on well with your brother?
Yeah, I get on really well with him. I think like nowadays it obviously it is brothers, but it's just like really close mates. You'd probably say the same about yours. I think. What's the age difference between you and your?
My brother's 31, 32.
31. Okay, yeah, mine's 30.
Yeah. So it's quite similar.
No, sorry, he's 31 as well. Yeah, I've just got his age wrong now.
About 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years. Yeah, that's same as me. I think when you're growing up, we always got on really well, but I think once we got to like proper adults, if you want to call that, or I got to a proper adult, whatever.
Yeah.
And you begin to have the same sort of interests. I'm massively into sport. He is as well. He's massively into personal development. I am as well. Like, there's two key things there which will just, I don't know if it's like voice note each other throughout the day or whatever, and it's just a very like healthy
relationship.
It's
nice, isn't it? It's like a mate, but a mate plus. With a bit more like you got all that history together, and there's so many things you can talk about.
Literally, like just constantly like bouncing ideas off each other, and to a point where like if we don't always agree with someone, you just give an honest to say, oh, look, it's not the way I'd go, but absolutely go for it or whatever, and
trust their opinion and stuff.
Yeah, massively. I just think it's I think having a good sibling is almost like a hack in life, to be honest. For probably especially if you're the younger one as well.
Yeah, definitely.
If they know what they're on about, it is a hack. You're almost ahead of the curve.
Follow them a little bit, can't you?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, my brother's like showed me the way on a lot of stuff, 100%. And obviously, he's had to find it out for himself a little bit. So it's kind of, it's a real interesting subject, like the sibling thing and how being first and being second like affects your life. And, and like, I do believe that like the first child tends to make more mistakes but is more confident.
Right, interesting.
I think that's a thing that like a lot of people might sort of resonate with. I think it's definitely true for me and my brother. Like,
right.
I think he's like, not to criticize him, but I think he's like quick to jump into stuff.
Right. Okay.
But he's also got more like balls than me.
Right. Okay.
Like, he'll just go for stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm a little bit more like conservative and like step back from it.
Yeah.
But I'll take my time a bit more, maybe.
Got you.
I don't know if people relate to that, but
it's fascinating. I've never even thought about that.
I work with him. So it's really obvious to me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't have said that. That stands out. I think it would be very dependent on what the thing is with like me and Sam, for instance. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I could draw any sort of correlation between it. To be honest, I think it's just very, very dependent on what it would be. I think. Yeah. I don't know. It is an interesting one though. I think on the whole, you're probably right, and I probably think
it might be very personal to me.
Yeah.
It's just something that I think. I suppose it's easy to have something in your own life and think, yeah, those people will be like this. But I don't know. It's everyone's got a different sort of experience with it.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't know how much of it might be the way, like if like parents, for instance, if they think that they missed a trick with something when the first child was growing up, and they learn and they remember that for the second. I remember one thing Mum always mentioned was swimming. With Sam and I, so there was this thing called Pentaqua, like swimming classes, and I remember that I think she didn't get Sam involved in it, or if she did, it was probably a bit too late.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sam can swim and stuff, no problem, but like he, by his own admission, I don't think he's the greatest swimmer. Mm-hmm. Whereas Mum got me in that really early on, and I think that's an example of where being the second child's probably it's that advantage. But I think it probably goes both ways.
Yeah.
But that's just one that I can think of, and I think, mum got me in that really early on, and it's the reason I'm fairly confident swimmer now. I think because I've just had that classes when
anything
I was
you do as a young child is like
massively.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, languages.
Yeah.
I'm awful at languages.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
terrible.
I'm bad at speaking. I don't mean it's just pretty bad for a podcast, but like I'm bad at like just I don't know like I'm learning it by doing this, I think, but like understanding someone else's point of view and like talking to them correctly or like making sure they understand. But yeah,
how do you mean?
I don't know, just like saying everything properly, enunciating properly, like using the correct grammar. Like, do you know what I mean?
Is that important?
I don't know. I mean, I like people who don't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
I've always liked him. He's a bit of a dick sometimes, but like he's funny and like. But I love how like especially on some of like the early radio shows, it'd just be like what finish sentences.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, just leave it. I know what you mean, and like,
it's like you don't know what he's saying, but you know what he's saying if you listen to him a lot. But when you first hear him, you might think like, who the fuck does he think he is? Like,
I mean, it's a weird one for me because like, obviously my job is like a writer, so grammar's important, of course it is. And, and my mum was an English teacher, so it's like, I've got all the cause in the world to say that pronunciation or grammar or whatever is really important. But I completely get what you mean. I would never reject a podcast because someone says was instead of were. Or says, what's another like common example? Like, I don't know, whatever the example is. I just wouldn't, because fundamentally you're there to listen to the points they're making.
Yeah, not the way they say it.
Yeah, and everyone's different. Like, it's nice. You don't want to be the same.
Suppose I got it from my mum, really, because my mum's like quite hot on it and like really, she's got like this... she's just like, she can't help but mention it when people like say, especially when it's me or Adam, like when you say things or do things, write things that aren't correct, you know. Yeah. She's like, you know that's wrong, don't you? And I'd be like, yeah, but I do it to piss you off, sort of thing, you know.
But I know what you mean. Like, I say this to mum and dad all the time. I think, how important actually is it in the grand scheme of things? Because, there's a time and a place for it, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But take people, I don't know, like, I'm not a massive fan of the guy, but take like Alan Sugar, for instance. You see him tweet, his spelling, his grammar, it's all over the place.
Really?
Oh, it's awful. Yeah. But are you telling me he's not been absolutely prolific in like making good business and stuff?
Yeah, what you're saying is it's like it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with all the other traits of a person.
Exactly. Like. So it's an interesting one. I think people are, for better or for worse, becoming increasingly less bothered about it. Like I say, I think it's just a time and a place. If I after this go and research something to do with health, and I notice that something fundamentally is spelt wrong, and it's by an author who's promoting, I don't know, go back to it, say stem cell therapy, I might think, well, I've lost a bit of trust in him because he's not. Like, this is quite a serious thing, and it's not the fact that he doesn't know how to spell it. It's just check your work. So that, I think there is a time and a place for it. If someone's just doing an entertainment sort of vibe or like podcast where you don't finish a sentence or whatever, I quite like that. I think it's an interesting...
It's funny, isn't it?
I've listened to your podcast and I like your style of just... almost just where a sentence might just phase out and it is just left and unfinished or whatever.
I like it. It's kind of... it's just... I can't help it. It's how I am.
Yeah, no.
And like, and I think it's best to try and just be who you are, innit? Obviously, people say that, but like, it's quite a hard thing to do. But to just talk how you talk and like, not try and put anything on, I think it's important.
No, massively. I always felt a little bit like, obviously I went to uni in Liverpool, and I'd always get called like, posh southerner or whatever, and it's ironic because I don't think anyone in Lincoln would classify Lincoln as South.
No, some of them do, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, you go to London, Leeds, and they say Lincoln's is up north and whatever. I mean, it obviously depends on where you're from. But
it's all relative, like you said earlier.
It's all relative. But the way I would talk in Liverpool, I'd always feel a little bit like I needed to almost try and speak maybe a little bit rougher. And try and
use more slang and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm quite susceptible to accents, actually, probably because I think I've got a fairly neutral...
You have,
A lot of us do. So I feel like I pick up
Yeah.
like dialect things quite easily. But I always felt a little bit like, oh, I don't want to come across as the posh sounding or whatever.
stuffy
But
one.
yeah, as I've gotten older, I've just you just be yourself more, and I like it. I just think I'm not gonna
Change for people.
change for the sake of it. I just and I think
It's your
people
personality, isn't it?
people prefer it. People don't mean anything bad by it. It's just
Just noticing differences.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's all right. I think it's fine.
Yeah. I was in just a quick one. I was in an Uber with with this like Cockney driver. He was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was when I was in London with work, and he was trying to guess sort of where I was from.
Yeah.
And he was saying the way you talk, it sounds like 1 minute it sounds like really, I don't know, like well spoken or whatever, and then I'll say like a certain word, and then I'll think, yeah, you're not from where I think you're from. You're from here or that, and it's just almost like a mishmash of different dialects.
Has your family always lived in Lincoln? Obviously,
no, not at all. I mean, my dad grew up in Baghdad.
Yeah.
So I mean, he moved to the UK. I'm trying to remember what year it is now. Probably when he was, I don't know, maybe just before 20, 18 possibly.
Yeah.
And then Mum sort of followed my granddad around because he was head teacher. In fact, he was head teacher at Christ all those years ago.
Really?
Well, there were 4 schools originally, and he brought all 4 of them into one school. So there was like St. Giles School, another school, and it was his job.
Yeah.
I think there might have been like 2 boys' schools, possibly. Maybe I've got that wrong, and then a 4th one, and he had to bring it all into one school, and that became Lincoln Christ Hospital.
Yeah.
And so he was a head teacher in like Oxford or like other places as well, and
Wow.
Mum would sort of hop around really. So I think it's why I've always been fairly comfortable, not just to stay in one place. Like I live in Manchester now, for instance. I'm very comfortable exploring new areas. And Mum was born in Nigeria originally. Wow. And her side of the family are obviously Cornish, so it's a real it's a real mishmash.
That's a mix up, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's cool. And
have you always lived in Lincoln though?
I've always lived in Lincoln. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're
growing
not,
up, right?
yeah. If you're not counting, obviously,
recent times.
Yeah, like uni and then moving for work or whatever. But yeah, Lincoln's such an interesting place. Really, I've always enjoyed coming back. I've never been the type to slag it off. I get a bit annoyed when people slag it off and say,
it's a nice place.
Lincoln this, Lincoln that. Yeah,
nice place with a lot of interesting history. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love coming back. I think it's good. It's nice. It's a good place to grow up, I think.
Past, present, or future? What do you think about the most?
Future, without a doubt.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you spoke about this with Hugh, and I remember exactly what I was doing. I was in the gym. I was on the treadmill. I remember it so vividly because I loved this conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've brought it up.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think I'm asking everyone that.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
I would say keep asking people. And I remember and this is a sign of a good podcast. I remember thinking about my own situation when I was listening to it. And I remember Hugh's answer was very present. He was like, I'm totally in the present. And for me, I was thinking, I literally live my life 2 weeks in advance in the sense that I've got a notes page on my phone, which has been an absolute game changer for me. I've done this for like the last 4 years now. And anything I need to get done is on there. And most of the time it will be stuff in advance. And I get it done. And so if I say I know I'm going to London or whatever for work in a couple of weeks, I'll have all that prepped for whatever it is, whether it's just like for instance, I might even like pack my case like 4 days before, so it's done. So it's like, right, that's one less job to do after work.
Yeah. Very like advanced in future and like very organised with yourself.
Yeah, and every decision I almost make in the present is completely with the future in mind. It's probably why I'm so interested in investing and like long-term investing, because I love the idea of making a decision today which won't necessarily benefit me in any other way, but then 2 years down the line or a year down the line or even a month down the line, whatever it is, when it has benefited me, I think, oh yeah, that's good. Like,
yeah, man.
And because it was quite a long-term one, that's benefited me well.
Yeah.
And then you just keep making them.
So you're happy with like long-term gratification as opposed to short-term gratification, like you said,
Yeah. Rarely think about the past. Only if I'm only time I think about the past is if I'm trying to like sounds a bit cliche or whatever, but if I'm trying to take like a learning from the past and apply it to the future,
Yeah.
I will
So
not.
you're still looking forward by looking back, really.
Always like so future driven, and I just got an interest in the future. Like,
Yeah,
it comes
man.
back to like AI and all that, where we're going to be, like how can we improve upon what we've got now?
Yeah.
Love it.
Completely unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what interests me as well. Like, it's just completely unknown, and like what could be around the corner for us, like in terms of civilization and all that sort of stuff. But for yourself as well, and how's it going to change your personal life and your day-to-day life, your work life? Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's endlessly interesting.
It is, yeah. I just think like, what do I want in a few years' time? All right, I might want to live in this kind of property, or I might want to be on this amount in my job, or I might want to be doing this specific thing at work, or I might want to have my own thing that I'm doing in my own time, like setting these goals. And it makes me feel more like fulfilled if I'm working towards them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, for me, it always comes back to the future, really. But what would you say? Present?
I think I'm
past,
quite
future?
present.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I am naturally like quite present. I don't think I think too much about the past. I don't think I think too much about the future. I think I kind of just do what's happening now. Maybe that's because of the way my life's gone. Maybe that means I'm happy with what I've got. I don't know. But like, yeah, I think asking this question to multiple people and like thinking about it more, like, it's funny. I haven't really thought about these questions for myself much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think I'm present.
I think you are as well, because I think you're a doer. Like for me, I will always, maybe don't always wear the heart on the sleeve. Will always think about something. I'm more of a thinker, I think, like, than just going and doing something.
Yeah.
Whereas I think like this podcast is a perfect example. You've just thought, I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to.
I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah, and that's, if you were to break down like pros and cons of past, present, future thinkers or whatever, I think a massive plus of like someone that is in the present is that they can just do it. Because starting something is often the hardest thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you learn along the way. Whereas I think people that are probably too future orientated might begin to talk themselves out of it almost before.
Yeah, because they
actually go
can't
and
see
do
how
it.
it's going to pay off or something.
Yeah. Or just they almost foresee too many problems and they get put off by it and they think, oh, this isn't right, and maybe you're in danger of slightly overthinking it. But when you've asked people this, what's been the most common answer?
It's all over the place, man.
Is it?
It's all over the place. I don't think anyone wants to say that they think about the past loads, so they probably don't say that. But it is either present or future mainly.
Is it? Okay. I'd have thought more people would say the past for some reason.
Older people do.
Yeah.
Older people do. But I haven't asked that many older people yet, so I don't really know. But
that's a good point. When I'm older, I'll definitely think more about the past.
Yeah. I think you just do.
Yeah.
Because you got more of it.
Yeah.
You got more of it, and the future's when you're younger, the future is less certain. Whereas when you're older, the future is pretty certain. Like, I've done everything. I'm probably gonna be dead in like 20 years.
Yeah.
A bit morbid, but like that's kind of you will be thinking that stuff, won't you?
Definitely. Ultimately, I think the healthiest probably is the present.
Yeah.
Because you're not being put off to do stuff in the present. So when you get older, you think, well, I've done stuff, but you've not looked sort of too far in advance. It's interesting. Age will play a massive. Be interesting to write everyone down and write their ages and then write their responses and then see if there is like a bit of a trend.
Get it in a spreadsheet. Yeah.
Get it in an Excel bad boy.
I think it would be really interesting. A little bit of research. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it is good to just be in the present because proper mad analogy. But like, I've just got a cat.
Right.
And
have you?
Yeah. She's in the conservatory because
right.
she's like a little bit. It's all right. She's in the conservatory because like she had an operation, neutered and stuff. So,
yeah. All right.
Which I felt really bad about after because I hadn't really thought about it. Apparently, it's really good to have your cat neutered though because they breed like rabbits.
Right. Okay.
But anyway, she came here on Monday last week.
Yeah.
And she was scared, and then she sort of got used to us within the first 2 days, and then I had to take her back off because I couldn't get booked in soon enough to have this operation done.
Right.
So she hated that, and then she came back, and then she was all right again.
Right.
So she went from being really scared to being fine, to being really scared to being fine. And I thought, that cat is just living in the moment.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, is she worrying about what's going to happen in the future? Like, is she worrying she's going to get taken away again?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably just thinking, like, all right, everything's all right now. I've got some food. Like, this person seems to like me.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they live in the now. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, someone once said a really great... I love a quote, by the way, if you couldn't tell by now. But, like, someone said to me, like, it was a sport analogy, actually. It was like fish in a bowl. I was like, what the fuck are they on about? It's like fish in a bowl.
Yeah.
And then he went into it and he was like, if you're coming up to a big moment in life, just think of a fish in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Just swimming around, forgets everything every 7 seconds, and then just resets and just swims around. And he's just doing the thing that he's doing in the moment.
Without worrying what's around it.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, I think it probably goes back to how much do we do in life that in, say, a year's time or 5 years' time, we're actually going to care about? Like,
so little.
And I think, like, I don't know, it's a weird analogy, but I do still use it this day. Like, if something big's coming up or whatever, I just think, hey, fish in a bowl. Like,
yeah, man.
How significant is actually?
Yeah. Sometimes some people can just say stuff to you that, like, or you hear something said in a certain way and you just go, shit, like, that just makes sense to me now.
And 99% of it, people probably talk a load of shite, don't get me wrong, but as long as, like, there's just one thing every now and then which just strikes a chord and you think, actually, this is going to make me perform better whenever I go to, like, do this thing at work or do this thing or do that thing, you just think, yeah, like, this works and I should use this.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's really big when that's one of the main things I like about podcasts is, like, sometimes you hear someone just say something offhand that they probably didn't even think was that important.
Yeah.
But to you, it's like, yeah, bang.
Yeah, massively. I exactly. I love podcasts for that exact reason as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy how actually, how much you think you know, but you need someone to say it to actually realise.
You need to be shown the way a bit.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same with music. Like, when I used to make music a lot, sometimes I would think an idea or, like, because I'm into, like, quite futuristic, like, advanced kind of music that aren't that some people would think sounds like shit.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, I like when I've heard someone do something that I've been thinking is a good idea and I hear them do it, I go, oh yeah, you can do that now.
Yeah.
You can do that. Like, you need to be shown the way a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like when you've got an interest, you always know it's there. You know you're aware of it, but it's just like you say, someone just needs to say something or do something in a certain way where you're like, yeah, I can do that.
Unlocked it a little bit.
Yeah, like, yeah.
100%.
Xbox game tag, whatever it would be. Remember that? Unlocked 10.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, that just came to my mind. Yeah, just unlocked it.
Yeah, man. Unlocked a little fucking achievement.
Yeah, achievement. That was it.
A little ditty. Oh, shit. Have we spoken about work-life balance?
No, not really.
Not really, have we?
No.
How do you see that? Because you sound like quite a driven person who's happy to, like, be on it all the time. But you said you do need a bit of time to chill. How do you think you get your work-life balance correct? Like,
do I get my work-life balance correct? I think if you probably asked people, they'd probably say in general no. I'd say yes. I think. Would they say no? Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know, actually. I'd love to go and ask people that are close to me what they think on that.
Yeah.
I think, it helps when you enjoy what you do, right? So I'll put like a lot of effort into that. But I don't know what's a normal day. I'd probably get up at. It's nothing crazy. I'm not in like this 5 a.m. club, like get to the gym before work or anything. I don't.
Yeah.
I went through a phase of wanting that, but I just think you quickly realise it, or for me, it just wasn't like sustainable.
It's over the top, isn't it?
Yeah. Work-life balance. No, I think I've got it. I think I've got it good. Probably get up at any time, maybe like 7:30. I take my nutrition really seriously. So I'll have some time before I get like stuck into work or whatever, where I'll make sure I'm set up for the day and that.
I suppose for someone like yourself, like living on your own and like not having too many like personal responsibilities with other people, like it's probably less important at that age.
Yeah.
When you get older and you've got like a family and maybe some kids or something, like then you do have to kind of think about it more.
Yeah.
Maybe like
I definitely want to burn the candle at both ends whilst I can in my 20s.
yeah.
I think that's important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's different, right? So like some people might put more of a value on, I don't know, like like marriage or like whatever society puts pressure on you to do by a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But I just think when you get to that stuff, it's you want to prioritize it, right? And you want to enjoy it. So burn the candle maybe whilst you're a bit younger, whilst you've got that energy, that drive.
Yeah.
And it probably comes back to that long-term gratification thing. Then enjoy the benefits of that as you get a bit older. And as you begin to slow down a bit, because you're not as fresh, as sharp or whatever, you've done the hard yard or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I work hard. I don't think I work like insanely hard by any means.
No, not
think
like putting yourself out. Like you're just doing what you need to do.
I think I work hard. I think I hopefully work quite smart. I think I'm quite productive with my time. And then and then I think I'll probably play quite hard in terms of I'll make sure that I enjoy things after. Like I say, I go back to it, like heading to David Lloyd or something. I'll make sure that I might spend an hour in the sauna and steam room.
Yeah.
5 times a week just to unwind a bit.
Yeah.
You know, or I might happily go and get boozed like every
Spend
now
time
and then or
with people,
something.
yeah.
And just think I'm not for any second going to feel guilty about that, because just work hard, play hard, I think is a good way to summarize it.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, make the most of what you're doing. Like, there's no point resenting what you're doing. You got to try and make it better for yourself all the time, aren't you? And
massively, mate.
Move
massively.
on.
Yeah, 100%. I think it does help when you enjoy what you do, because it feels less like work. You know, I feel like almost like I don't mean just in my working hours, but I'll be thinking almost about things at the weekend or after work. And I know for some people that's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But that would be a nightmare for me maybe in my previous job.
Yeah.
My previous job, I'd shut the laptop down and then I'd actually immerse myself in the type of stuff I do now. And then
wow.
Yeah,
that's
and then
really cool.
Yeah, and actually I remember having a conversation with my brother about it actually, and he was like, life's too short not to actually try and work in the thing you love.
Yeah.
Which I partly agree with. But there is this, it's like this theory or this phenomenon that when you start doing the thing that you love and you get paid for it, you actually enjoy it less. And I was really worried that was going to happen to me, but actually it didn't.
I think it's a cop out, that.
Yeah, I think you could be right. And
yeah.
And like my brother, for example, lives and breathes footy and he works in it. And after a day's work, he might have like 3 screens on of football. Different matches, and thinking, well, clearly
that might be a nightmare for some people.
Yeah.
It's their job as well. Like.
Yeah, and like clearly it doesn't affect him, and I've so far I've found it's the same with me. So I think when you enjoy what you do, work-life balance definitely becomes less of a
problem.
Yeah, you
don't think about it.
You don't view it that way.
Yeah,
I just don't think you view it that way. So
that's really interesting. Yeah, I've not heard that point of view really, but I think it makes sense.
I hate it when people feel like they constantly moan about work. It's like just try and find something in which I know it's not always easy to do, and I didn't know what I wanted to do until very late on in life, and it is tough.
Yeah,
but it's just like just try and do your best to try new things and figure it out, because otherwise you don't want to be the person that is just literally living for the weekend.
Yeah.
And then moans about work at the weekend and then gets to it. It shouldn't be
good.
like that. And I feel very grateful I'm not like
in
don't
that
have
position.
that situation. Yeah.
You needed sports business and management.
I did.
Does that play into what you do now at all, or
Absolutely not. No. I'm only messing. So yeah, my undergrad was marketing, mainly because I remember sitting in my kitchen and thinking, don't know what I want to do, and actually back at that age I didn't have a huge interest in like business or anything. I hadn't chosen it as an A-level or anything.
no?
Didn't particularly enjoy the 3 years of marketing. I thought the course was fairly outdated, to be honest.
Really?
I probably lost all faith in like the education system. I always joke about it to my parents and say that the education system needs to be completely revamped and everything.
Yeah.
But then I got to the masters and I had this incredible lecturer. He was just brilliant, and it just turned it around for me. And again, I was living on my own. That was the first year I lived on my own doing the masters. Wasn't drinking because of my kidney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where I got my head down in life. I was like, right, I'm going to just crack on and try and do well in life and everything. And then, or maybe that came in my third year of uni actually, but certainly it was amplified in the masters. And then, I did the sports business thing. I remember seeing seminars and lectures that were 3 hours long. And I was coming out of them and thinking, just chat about sport and business, two things that really interest me.
For 3 hours, yeah.
It probably acted as a bit of a segue into me enjoying business more, because the examples we'd use would always be sport related.
Yeah. It was sporting business. It was never like anything unrelated to that, but it's still, like you say, business in general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, even though it doesn't actually play into what I do in my day job, it massively played into me getting to where I am, just because of the course and how much I enjoyed it and what I learned about like business in general. And and I think part of the reason why I managed to do well is because I obviously had that connection to sports. I was always really interested. Like when we had an assignment, we got given a lot of freedom, so I could go do it on a tennis event or go present it on like the upcoming Olympics or whatever. And that's easily been my favourite year of education.
Wow. That's interesting, man. Yeah.
Probably the only one I enjoyed, really.
Really, So, I suppose a small amount of it made a big difference.
Massive difference, yeah.
Did you feel like school was like just to piss about?
I didn't enjoy school, really. I enjoyed like seeing people and stuff, but I wasn't a lover of school at all. I didn't like the way the whole system was of like 5 hours a day you'd be sat in lessons. That's not a good way to learn.
No.
I think the way you're taught is outdated. I don't think you're taught things which are really valuable. I think you just go to a place because your parents are at work, and when you're growing up, you can't be in the house on your own doing something. Yeah. You're taught to show up, really, aren't you?
Listen and repeat things, basically.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I mean, I'm trying to think if I did. I wasn't ever the kid who didn't do like his homework or whatever. I'd always get it done, but it would always be like minimal effort. It would be getting it done for the. And I think you're probably quite the same.
Yeah.
I'd get it done to avoid like confrontation and don't want to be a dickhead in class or anything. So I'd get it done, and I wouldn't ever be a problem. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, same sort of feeling.
Wouldn't put loads of effort in because it didn't resonate with me.
No, it's just like I never took it seriously ever.
Yeah.
I didn't even take my options seriously. Like,
what do you mean your options?
Like the options you took like for GCSEs and then options for sixth form. Even that I didn't take seriously.
Did you not? What did you end up picking?
I picked psychology, English literature, and product design. Product design's played into what I actually do, so that's great. But like, I just feel like I could have done anything.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like I learnt all the stuff I needed to learn.
Yeah.
It might be wrong, but like I feel like I've learnt a lot of stuff I needed to learn about my job.
Yeah.
Doing my job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I've had a bit of a weird situation because I've been allowed to sort of learn from the ground up in the family business. Yeah. And
helps, doesn't it?
Helps a lot. But I suppose that's the big thing, really. Me and Dan Bates were like on a similar page on that. Yeah. I think when you've got something that you can fall into, it makes your drive for like schooling and education a lot less, I think. Oh,
100%. You know, you've got that security blanket, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really interesting. Like my main motivation for like grades and stuff probably came just to get into uni because I knew I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Not to get the 2-1 or the uni certificate, but just because I wanted that lifestyle of new city, go out, just...
Sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Just become shapes you as a person, right? But I completely agree. If I had something to go into like you as well, I know for a fact I'd just think, well, it just doesn't matter because it's there.
It's all secured for me, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
But
exactly. But I think the good thing about what happened for myself, like, is that when I did go and work at my family business, I didn't get a lot of guidance from my dad. I got a bit from my mum, but a lot less from my dad. And he was the guy who started the business, and the things that we do are based around his own knowledge to begin with. But he never really helped me too much, and I think I think it was a really good idea for him to do that.
Let you learn it yourself.
Yeah, because now I've got this like inherent drive through my own learning that like keeps me going with it. But if he had just shown me exactly how to do it, I don't think there'd be like a first to carry on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a bit like the silver spoon, isn't it? If you get fed, then you sort of struggle to feed yourself, really. And I think it's good that I think a lot of people that just have something ready for them when they come out, they're always going to have that silver spoon syndrome. And I think it's important to develop your own drive. And
I think we're lucky that the business, like for me and my brother, like we're lucky that the business that we've taken on wasn't that successful. Yeah. And we've made it more successful. Yeah. But like, if it was just successful, we'd just be sat there like, okay, well, we don't really need to do anything.
It's a more interesting narrative now.
Yeah.
You come in, it was, I don't know the details of the business, but if you're saying it wasn't that successful or whatever, the narrative's so much more interesting now. Yeah. And we took it over
and then tried to improve it.
Yeah. And I think that's class.
It's important.
Do you think school helped in any way towards that?
I think the main thing you get from school is just people skills.
Yeah.
If you're willing to like, because Gemma always says that I was like very in between like groups of people.
I think I'd probably say I was the same.
Yeah.
I think we're probably quite similar in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you were as well. Like I feel like we could. I've always been a big believer in having different groups. It's really good to have different friendship groups.
Yeah.
Spanned across all types of different areas and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
just learn. I think that's the best thing though from school. Like just getting to know not only people, but teachers as well. Like kids of your age, but teachers. There's so many, like not so many, but there's a few teachers from school that like I think about every now and then and think, they were good. Like they were good people. Not many.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
Mr. Lyon, I always think of him.
He was a good teacher. He's
just a good guy.
Yeah.
And like really interested in stuff. Like I remember he used to. When I did media in second year of sixth form, because I fucked up all the other ones.
Right.
So I did 2 new subjects. Media was one of them, and I just enjoyed because I was with him in like English a long time before that, probably like year 8 or something. But I just enjoyed his like thirst for like knowledge and interest in stuff, and I found that like a lot of teachers weren't like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think if there was anyone. I'm struggling really. I think Miss White, I felt like that. Thought she was brilliant. I got the same type of vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I felt like teaching. I think it's a difficult job, to be honest. And I think it's
to remain passionate in. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's tough to. At the end of the day, as a teacher, you're not going to resonate with every pupil, are you? It's just the way it is. But yeah, I think a lot of people felt Mr. Lyon was a great teacher.
Yeah, definitely.
He had a good way of getting knowledge into your brain, didn't he? Like that's a weird way to describe it, but
yeah, he had a way of talking to different. He had a way of leveling with like lots of different types of people.
Yeah,
which is like really important, I think.
Yeah.
Same with Mr. Wright as well, I think.
Yeah.
He was like, great. I said this to someone recently. I don't know if it was on a podcast or not, but like, he was just like everyone's mate.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was just like a nice bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah,
knocking about. It's like just some guy who was about the place.
Yeah,
just like being nice, and it was weird.
Yeah, you always felt like he wasn't. You always felt like he wasn't a teacher, but he was.
Yeah,
if that made sense.
Yeah,
it's a good skill. Good skill to have, definitely.
What's the meaning of life, James?
Whoa, meaning of life, deep one, isn't it?
To you, obviously.
Yeah, I think probably to have real purpose.
Yeah.
Like, don't be the person that just wakes up Monday morning, rolls their eyes, checks in to do their job just because they're doing their job, and then just does stuff for the sake of it. Like, when you zoom out and think the chances of us all being here are just millions and billions to one, just find something which does make you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Like, whether that's like religion or whether that's your career or whether that's your relationship or whatever, just know the thing that makes you tick
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah.
And just make yourself tick. Because when you make yourself tick, you'll make others tick, I think.
Yeah.
When people see that you're comfortable with yourself and you're enjoying,
You inspire others, don't you?
massively, people want to be around that person.
Mm-hmm.
Want to be around the person that's comfortable with themselves, brings energy. I'm not saying, you know, be bouncing around the place 24/7, but just be
yourself
someone that's
and-
positive.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
positive, yeah.
So I think, yeah, just have purpose and get fulfillment. Just
Yeah, man.
Find out how.
Very concisely answered, yeah.
Why? What would you say? It is?
No,
Or are you still working out?
I'd go back and forth on it. I would fully agree on that. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
fully agree on that. Purpose and meaning is key, I think.
Yeah, I think you could ask me the same question like 6 months in a year, and I could have a completely different answer. I think, and day 25 years old, still working out.
I think there's a lot of ways of saying the same thing as well, though, with
True.
the meaning of life as well. Like, I think people say it in their own way, but really they're getting at the same thing.
Same thing, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you hear people give answers, and it is the same sort of thing, just in their own interpretation of it.
Reworded. Yeah,
But I
reworded.
think as you get older and stuff, your answer will change, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, still working it all out, to be honest. Like I say, very comfortable with the idea of knowing that I don't know a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I think to know, if anyone knows the purpose of life, I don't inherently believe that they do.
Yeah, we're in this vast like sea of like
Yeah.
information and chaos. Like we don't know, do we?
Yeah, exactly. But everyone, I like it when everyone gives their own answer.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's interesting to listen to it and interpret it in your own way.
yeah, of course
Yeah,
it
man.
is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Really
you for having
interesting
me.
conversation,
Yeah.
Jay. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Loved it. I enjoyed it as well, mate. It was good.
Do you prefer
good
to be
do.
called Jay or James? Should have asked you this right at the start, probably.
Nah,
Jay's a bit of a nickname, isn't it?
yeah, probably. I'm so easy, mate. I don't really,
Not
don't
bothered.
really care. Jay's probably the go-to, isn't it? From
school.
Was that? Yeah, it was school, wasn't it, Jay?
I don't know where it came from. I saw
Yeah.
the
No, it was always Jay.
I was
always-
typing your name into Instagram today, yesterday, to look at your page.
Yeah,
I was like typing in Jay and it won't come in. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's happening?
it's
Oh, his name's James, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. People on WhatsApp, because I'm Jay Ashoo on WhatsApp, and when they meet me for the first time, they're always like, "Hey Jay," and I was like, "Oh, it's always."
Big thanks to Jay for joining me on the podcast. Thank you lot for listening. Yeah, join me again in the next one. Thanks very much.